What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty. Join my Discord if you want to chat and share your thoughts, the link is in the description. 4 Chapter 81. Auto-generated chapter title, 081. I mean you all come together, I'm in a hurry. You fellow, don't come out to snatch my prey. Douglas Bullet is obviously upset. Obviously he was the first to stare at Ron this prey. Someone came out to preempt it. Really he is Bullet, can anyone come over to grab his things? Don't blame me for beating you. Bullet's tone became a little impatient. Staring closely at Yuji Shiryu. In the final analysis, their team is made up of temporary escape, and there is no cohesion at all. And everyone is a maverick, heinous big thief. How is it possible to listen to others? In this team, infighting can happen at any time. Rain Shiryu spit out the cigar from his mouth on the ground. Fortunately, the broken arm was not his usual arm with a knife. Otherwise, his strength will be greatly reduced. If you remember correctly, you guys should be called Bullet, right? I don't want to kill you today. I just want to kill that man now, you don't want to mess with me now. Have you heard? Rain Shiryu's voice is very cold. As if Bullet said one more word, he would cut Bullet. What a mob. Anyway, the task I brought you out has been completed, and the rest is left to you. Yan looked at the two and said coldly that he had no idea of intervening. After all, what they do has nothing to do with them. The first task for him and Quinn to come here is to bring Ace out. The second is to release all the prisoners and let them cause a great chaos. It is best to disperse Marine's forces, although the result disappointed them a bit. After all there was such a big disturbance, the entire Marine headquarters sent a Ron over. Although the strength of Marine was distracted, it did not achieve the desired effect. Originally, this plan was to attract at least 2 Admiral. In this way, the pressure on the mini Marlins will be much less. It can also allow Kaido and Whitebeard to win over there as soon as possible. But anyway, the task of Yan and Quinn has been completed. I see, the guy you two said is hotter than mine, isn't it? Ace also understood the situation on the battlefield this time. Although he didn't know Ron, he was recognized by Kaido's big board. It is enough to show that this man should be very strong. Yes, it's him, it's just him during the day, advertisement. At night, I am afraid he can't even beat Jack as an idiot. Quinn said with a sneer. In fact, he and Ace have exactly the same status. Ace is the captain of the 2nd division of the Whitebeard Pirates. Quinn is the 2nd largest sign under the Kaido Pirates. I'll tell you one last time, get out of the way. This is the prey I'm looking at first. Douglas Bullet is already impatient. Similarly, I will say my words one last time. If you don't let go, I will chop you off first. You must be chopped off by me for this guy's arm. My Shiryu of the Rain has not been chopped off by anyone. One arm time. The 2 guys are still in front, tit for tat. The other pirates in the back were also happy to watch the excitement. Anyway, they have already run here, and basically they have successfully escaped from prison. Just take the Admiral warship in front of you, and they can escape every day by driving the warship. Only one step away from a successful escape from prison. As for who is responsible for this kick, they don't care about this. Whether it is Shiryu of Rain or Douglas Bullet, it is no problem. Hey, are you two rushing to die? It's better to come together. I'm in a hurry. Ron jumped straight off the warship. While walking towards the 2 people, the magic power of the whole body gradually recovered. The sun in my heart. Even at night, Ron can awaken this power. Let him directly have the strongest state at noon. What? Come and listen to what this guy said. He actually said let us go together. He said he was in a hurry. I really laughed at me. I have never seen such a crazy person. Douglas Bullet and Yuji Shiryu actually laughed directly. Douglas Bullet even said jokingly, hey, you kid mean we let the 2 go together? Ron held out a finger, shook it, said with a blank expression and a tone of indifference without any emotion. No, it's not the 2 of you. I mean, let all of you come together. I'm in a hurry. Serve this. This sentence directly made the audience laugh. They had never watched Ron's battle during the day. Naturally, it was impossible to imagine how terrifying Ron was. Advertisement moreover, Ron's small body said such arrogant words. It's really funny, not to mention, even at the beginning they were more afraid of Ron's Quinn and Yan. They also said that Ron's strength at night is not enough to be afraid of. I don't know where is this Ron's courage, ha, really an arrogant kid, then let me kill you first. Yuji Shiryu's expression suddenly became cold. Before being imprisoned here, Shiryu of Rain was a great swordsman. It is the man with the director of Magellan and known as the Iron Wall of the undersea prison. I didn't expect to be so humiliated today, if you don't cut him. This sword is not happy. As soon as the voice 700 fell, Shiryu of Rain rushed over. The speed is very fast, even now he only has 1 arm left. The strength is still not halved. Go to hell. Rain Shiryu made a full blow. However, Ron did grab his hand empty at this moment. Yelled softly. Respond to me, Rita. What, in an instant. The axe placed by Ron on the Marine headquarters square. It moved suddenly, in the horrified eyes of everyone around. Instantly rise from the ground, speeding quickly in Ron's direction. Like a meteor in the night sky, it appeared directly in Ron's hands. The artifact liberation. The merciless sun Ron held the god Buddha Rita with one hand. Almost instantly, the blazing sunlight was released from the magic axe Rita. Ron's entire body also swelled rapidly, it directly became the kind of sturdy look at noon. A familiar feeling of oppression, suddenly, it was suppressed as if the sky had collapsed. In contrast, Shiryu of Rain, who was still magnificent just now, suddenly became insignificant. Chapter 82. Auto-generated chapter title, 082. What about cheating? This is called weak at night. You call this weak? Ace, who was most familiar with fire skills, suddenly changed his face. He could feel the hot temperature coming from the palm of the opponent. The fireball in the sky is like the sun. If this thing is thrown down, it will ruin the world. Are you kidding me? At this level, it is still weak. Crazy? This temperature has already surpassed itself? Hey, what are you two kidding about? Don't you say that this guy is weak at night? You call this weak? Do you have a problem with your brain? Ace couldn't help but yell at Kai and Quinn, now. Kai and Quinn are also dumbfounded. What's happening here? The information is wrong. Is it possible that the red-haired guy is deliberately setting them up? The guy Ben Beckman simply made a wrong analysis. Who said this monster will become weak at night? Come and see, is this weak? This is no different from at noon during the day. Are you kidding me? Damn it, the whole group of ant pirates was killed by him alone? Now, this monster has come here again. Don't ask me, I don't know. Either the guy Ben Beckman yelled at us, or the guy Ben Beckman made a wrong judgment. There was a cold sweat on Quinn's head. I didn't expect this scenario at all. This is too exaggerated. They had been watching Ron fight through the videophone room before. I have never felt it so close, really, when Ron appeared in front of them one day. Only at such a close distance can I feel how desperate this sense of oppression is. Are you kidding me? This is definitely not someone he can fight against. Quinn and Smoke are still very wise. His complexion changed, and he said coldly. No, this kind of monster can only be killed by Kaido and the old man Whitebeard. Ace is very anxious now, because Dad is organizing a lot of attacks on Marlene. If he doesn't show up soon, once there is a fight over there, the casualties will be heavy. How many people might die by then? I can't kill so many people just because of him. Advertisement. I thought I could leave here smoothly. It seems now, what should be considered is how to survive. 707. Hurry up and hide behind me. The sun is going to explode. Ace suddenly found out, the fireball on Ron's fingertips became more and more warm. Obviously, it will explode soon. He had no other way now, he could only use his devil fruit ability to forcibly resist the high temperature. In short, survive this round of attacks first. Quinn and Yan, where can I take care of the tops at this time? They had seen Ron's power with their own eyes. At this moment, without thinking about it, they all hid behind Ace. It's not just the two of them. The pirates next to him are not stupid. Seeing these two people hiding behind Ace, no matter how stupid they are, they can figure out what's going on. They all surrounded. These include Crocodile et al. And at the forefront, Shiryu of Rain, who had just rushed to the front, suddenly stopped at this moment. Just look up at the scorching sun could not help but take a breath. Is this the height that humans can reach? How come it's the damn fire ability again? How many fire abilities does this world have? Why, didn't you let you go together? Why don't you stand still? Ron remained expressionless. At this moment, his body has swelled several times before. Just looking down at Shiryu of Rain condescendingly. He said without any emotion in his tone. Usually Shiryu only felt cold sweat on his back. He felt fear for the first time. A person like him who is willing to kill has never felt this way. However, at the moment, this feeling is so strong. Is it? Is this the feeling of fear? Unexpectedly, Shiryu, the Rain, felt so scared one day. At this moment, Rain Shiryu finally understands. Why did Ron let them go together, for a strong man of his kind? It is indeed troublesome to solve these pirates one by one. It's a waste of time. It seems that what Ron said just now did not show how arrogant he was. It's just stating a fact truthfully. Advertisement. People are really in a hurry. That's why these pirates got on together. However, my group of people are so ignorant that they think that the other party is overpowering. In fact, people who are really overweight, it's me. Who on earth are you? Rain Shiryu braced his will and raised the sword in his hand. Ready to fight to the death, Army Admiral, Ron. Rain Shiryu nodded heavily, then he took a deep breath and said. Even if you don't deserve to mention my name in front of you, as the most dignified battle in my life, I still have to say it. I am a great swordsman, former deputy warden, Shiryu of Rain. Yuji Shiryu shouted when he finished saying this. Pour all your strength into this sword. Armament Hockey gave up the defense and directly covered the sword. Because he knows. Facing Ron's attack of this level, his armed defense was like wearing a tool on his body, and it didn't work at all. The strongest blow in his life, in an instant, he severely slashed at Ron. Desperate blow. That's a pity, I can't leave you the whole body. The merciless sun, the fiery ball of fire on Ron's axe slammed directly down. It swallowed Shiryu's slash in an instant, there is hardly any stagnation. Rain Shiryu's strongest attack in his life did not make the fireball, pause for a second. Boom. The fireball instantly covered Shiryu of Rain. However, this is not over yet. I saw Ron squeeze lightly with his hands. Bursting arrogance. At the same time, the fireball exploded directly. It's like a bomb, directly flooded the entire underwater prison. Great power. The part of the submarine prison exposed on the sea is directly turned into ashes. The whole aftermath flattened a radius of 10 miles. Ron, who already has 88% of the progress of the Crime of Pride template, can play 88% of Ace Kano's power. Ron at this moment. It's already much better than when he played the Ant. This trick that I used before hasn't had such a big effect. Chapter 83, Auto-generated chapter title, 083, Super Monster, bullet integrated with the entire prison. A blazing storm swept across the sea in an instant. More than half of the pirates who escaped from prison. At this moment, all were buried in the sea of fire and turned to ashes in this explosion. As for the rest, naturally all hid behind Ace. I have to say that these people are smart. Their wise choice at the critical moment saved them a life. How are you? Quinn frowned and looked at Ace in front of him. At this moment, Ace was panting violently. There were multiple burns on the whole body. Is this a demon fruit power? He was actually burned? Quinn couldn't help frowning. It seems that Ace blocked this blow for them just now, and also saved their lives. Ron, this guy is getting more and more perverted. How could he be stronger than when he was playing Ant? Quinn remembers when he was in a decisive battle with the Ant. Ron also used this trick, but the effect at that time was much worse than it is now. Has this monster become stronger again? It's too scary? How could it be so strong? And the most incredible thing, that battle only happened during the day. In other words, Ron's strength soared again in less than a day. Does this keep 703 people alive? Ace coughed twice. Then he stood up weakly. The opponent's fire ability is above me. Just now I have used my full strength to defend the opponent's flames from exploding. Do my best to stop the heat from spreading, but that's all. If he makes another shot, I will definitely not be able to stop it. Ace is telling the truth. Ron's move just now has exhausted all his energy. Desperate to stop it, however, the premise is that the other party's attack is not directly at oneself. This gave Ace a chance to block it. If Ron's attack was directed at him just now, Ace asked himself, he would definitely not be able to prevent it. Have to say, the guy named Shiryu of Rain did save their lives in disguise. At least he pulled away the hatred value of the attack. Yan frowned, and his race could also use firepower. Advertisement, it seems to be insignificant compared to the man in front of him. The horrible heat just now. I am afraid that if he takes it head on, he will end up not much better than that of Shiryu of Rain. BEFC, huh? Are you still alive? Ron's footsteps didn't stop, and he continued to walk forward. None of the pirates at the scene can live. This is why Ron is here. But he didn't expect that Deadless Bullet, the nearest to him, was still alive. This surprised Ron a bit. Is this guy so defensive? It seems worthy of being the One Piece. The characters of that era are still a little capable. Bullet was asked this for the first time. No one has ever said in front of him, "Are you still dead?" This sentence is really heartbreaking. It's blatant contempt. Or in normal times, Bullet might think so, but now. Bullet didn't feel that the other party was despising him at all. Because what they say is the truth. In the face of absolute strength, people are just expounding a fact. Bullet now has extensive burns in the direction of his right arm. He just turned sideways just now, then he covered it layer by layer with his huge armament hockey, which blocked the explosion just now. You know, Bullet's armament hockey is quite fierce. It can almost cover a huge monster like a hill, but even so. Retired just now exhausted all his strength to defend. Almost exhausted his armament hockey. This is to save his life. Army Admiral, I haven't heard of this position before. It seems that I have lived in prison for too long, and I have no idea about many things outside. Deadless Bullet, staring at Ron tightly, approached him step by step. The face of the man in front of him became clearer and clearer. Bullet was sure he had never seen him before. It seems to be a character of the new era. Unexpectedly that this era has changed so fast. Have they been left behind by the older generation of powerhouses? This man. This horrible sense of oppression, his strength. Maybe better than Roger. I heard that you were going to be the strongest man. Yes. Ron's words were also very plain, but from the mouth of a strong man like him. Just let Deadless Bullet feel a strong sense of humiliation. Advertisement, the other party is mocking himself. After all, what qualifications do you have to be called the strongest man in front of him? He was already scared into a cold sweat behind his back. He had never been so afraid of death, but the oppression Ron gave him came from deep in his soul. That is an unattainable height. This feeling is called despair. Is it the strongest? Did you beat you? I am the strongest? But it is precisely because of this fear, suddenly let Deadless Bullet understand a truth. That is, the man in front of him is the strongest. Isn't my wish right in front of my eyes? If I defeat him, am I the strongest man? It turned out to be so close to my ambition. Bullet summoned his courage instantly. It's a death anyway. Then look at how far you are from the apex of this world. Bullet is a fighting maniac. This fear of dying unexpectedly brought him a fighting spirit. Fit fruit. Bullet immediately activates state affairs capabilities. You know, the entire underwater prison is full of various metal devices. Complete, there are also a lot of weapons. This is simply a natural fit mecha library for him. So, Bullet mobilized all the remaining armament hockey. Cooperate with the ability of the fruit. The entire undersea prison will be integrated. Almost instantly, a huge monster almost towering into the clouds suddenly appeared on the ruins. It is Bullet. He used the ability to combine fruit to integrate the entire prison with him. This is already his strongest state, come on Ron. Let me see how strong you are. Bullet laughed. At this moment, Ron was like an ant in front of him. It's so small. Go to hell. Bullet goes crazy with both hands down. Want to smash Ron into meatloaf. Chapter 84, auto-generated chapter title. 084. Is this the strength of your full blow, too weak? Quinn was a little surprised and said, I don't think Douglas still has this hand, I have never seen him use it before. Take a deep breath. What a powerful armament hockey, it can cover such a behemoth. This is the first time I have seen you. Ace frowned, the wound on his body was not healed. Unexpectedly, someone with the Mara fruit ability would get burned. It turned out that it was so uncomfortable to be scalded. Now, Ace understands, continue to stay here, there is no objection at all. Since Dad is here to save himself, he has been rescued successfully. The best choice now is to leave here and meet Dad. Then immediately return to New World. Then, Ace hurriedly said. You two don't talk nonsense, get out of here quickly. I took advantage of my flying ability to take the two of you away. I wanted to be able to hold this monster for a while, but now it seems that I am very lucky to be able to leave here alive. Since Bullet is such a great guy, let him stay here and hold Ron. Immediately made the wisest decision of my life, buggering. Unexpectedly, 3 times under his dignified Kaido, he also escaped one day. No, this cannot be called an escape, it should be called a tactical retreat. Then, it turned into a pterosaur, stretched out 2 claws, and grabbed Quinn and Ace. Then it directly flew into the air. No matter how stupid the surrounding pirates are, they know that these 3 people are going to sneak around. How does this work? If you leave them here, don't you just wait for death? Everyone now sees Ron's horror, no one dared to be careless anymore. There is only one result of staying here, and that is being ruthlessly killed by Ron. This guy is like a god of death, reaping lives is too fast. See the scene where Ron just now. The happy mood that I had just escaped from prison disappeared all at once. Some are just desperate, they now want to return to the prison and be locked up. At least it won't die so miserably. The blazing high temperature just now, everyone knows well. If there is no Ace desperately blocking, everyone present will die. The words that the Army Admiral asked them to go together before seemed not to be bragging. Don't you go, take us along. Yeah, let us out, but don't take us along. What do we mean by staying here and waiting for death? Come down to me. The pirates who remained below were very dissatisfied with the 3 men who were about to escape. Shouted immediately, but obviously, Jin wouldn't pay attention to them. These people are just cannon fodder that caused the turmoil. Now their mission is over. Whether it's dead or alive, then it's up to fate. It just so happens that you are all staying here, which can block Ron's footsteps a little bit. So as not to let him catch up with us, advertisement. You stay here, shine and heat, physically, ha ha ha. Laughed out loud, without looking back, he flew directly in the various directions of Marin. Crocodile below also saw that things were not good. He didn't hesitate immediately turned into a dust explosion. Follow behind, leaving here with them, at 11. There was a wave of swear words from below, and all the people who remained behind screamed. How ugly this sentence is, how ugly it is, even. Quinn still scolded at the top and bottom, but as they flew farther and farther, they couldn't hear what the other party was swearing. At this moment, the huge Douglas Bullet doesn't care if this group of people has escaped. He is now about to complete the most important blow in his life. Exhausted the power of the whole body, hit a full blow. The huge Douglas Bullet, waving arms stronger than a mountain. The 2 hands are held together, lifted high above his head. Armament hockey, all concentrated on the arms, then he shouted. Smashed down hard. This is my full blow, Ron, can you take it? Douglas's arm was falling faster and faster. Even the resulting hurricane blew the surrounding waves dozens of meters high. It can be seen how powerful this fist can be. You must kill this Army Admiral. We rely on you, Bullet. He must be killed, otherwise everyone will play with him. At the same time, these pirates who failed to leave in time have concentrated all their hopes on Bullet. If Bullet can kill Ron, they have a way to survive. If Bullet loses, then everyone follow along and finish playing together. It's that simple. The fist fell faster and faster. The wind pressure caused Ron's feet to sink into the ground. Boom. There was a loud bang. The fist fell. The shock wave caused by the collision directly set off a typhoon here. Swept to the surroundings. Even the seawater was blown away. The whole ground shook twice. The hearts of the pirates around were hanging in their throats. However, the smoke dissipated. Their hearts are getting colder and colder. Because the scene before me is really incredible. For flowers, I saw Ron directly catch Douglas's fist with one hand. He actually caught it. Advertisement, there is such a big difference in body shape between the two. It's not the same at all, but Ron caught the heavy fist like a mountain with one hand. Is this your full attack? Ron said lightly. Douglas's expression changed. Boom. Ron's palm squeezed hard. Douglas's fit giant instantly broke both arms. It turns into crumbs and falls down. After that, Ron didn't even give him a chance to speak. The tower of the god axe slashed upwards, bottom up. The huge mountain-like monster splits into 2 from the middle. Ron didn't look back. Real men never look back, accompanied by Douglas's scream. Point 0. The behemoth collapsed. Damn it, did they escape? Ron frowned. He currently does not have the ability to fly as a master. He jumped directly back to the warship. Is he going to let us go? We are too lucky. This is simply a survivor. The pirates around who were still stunned just now. Thought so. But, Ron, who had jumped on the warship, suddenly saw a huge sun in his hands. The pirates who saw this scene, they all showed horrified expressions. That trick again. My day. At this moment, Magellan, who had been seriously injured, had already taken the rest of the jailers and hid to the next floor of the underwater prison. Therefore, no matter how serious the fighting broke out above, it will not spread to them. The merciless sun if Ron directly put the huge fireball in his hand. Throwing down these pirates, there was a loud bang directly. The entire island was blown up. These pirates didn't even have a chance to escape, and they were wiped out in an instant. Ron is alone. Almost all the fugitives of the entire underwater prison were wiped out. Except for Ace who ran away. At the same time, the huge impact of the explosion. Pushing the sea water directly pushed the warship out at a very fast speed. And this direction, it is Marlin that is numerous. The reason Ron chose to attack from this angle was to allow this reaction force to concentrate on the warship. In this way, they can shuttle directly to Marlin many at the fastest speed. Want to run from Ron? That is impossible. Chapter 85, Auto-Generated Chapter Title. 085. Kaido, are you also the strongest king of creatures and beasts in front of me? After Ron and his party left, Magellan and others dared to get out of the ground. Looking at the entire upper seabed prison in disbelief, there is nothing left that has been destroyed. The scene was in a mess, and the dead bodies of these ferocious pirates were all lying down everywhere. Ron's strength is really terrifying. At first, Magellan didn't believe it. Such a big event happened here, but Sengoku only let Ron come over. Just started. Magellan is always uneasy, but after observing this battle with my own eyes, Magellan knew what a real fierce was. No wonder this guy can defeat the 4 emperors alone. This strength is scary enough, let alone 4 emperors. One Piece Magellan has also seen it, when Roger One Piece was locked up in this prison. Take Magellan's understanding. I'm afraid that One Piece is not Ron's opponent. July 20th, is no longer a question of whether it is strong or not. This is simply pervert. It's a monster at all. Magellan took a deep breath. It is estimated that he will be unemployed from today on. After all the pirates in the underwater prison are dead. Then he doesn't mean anything in front of the warden, right? Unexpectedly, I was unemployed in this way. Now. Smoke and others who are flying in the air, now I only feel afraid for a while. Just now when Ron cleared the field with his last skill. That monstrous firelight, and there are layers of heat waves. Even if they all fly so far, they can still feel clearly. Fortunately, they were very skilled and left there early, otherwise, I am afraid it will turn into a soul under the fire. What are you doing in a daze? Call Boss Kaido quickly. Just say our mission is completed, angrily glared at Quinn and said. Quinn reacted now, immediately took out the phone. Called Kaido, the beast. Boss Kaido, our mission has been completed, and Ace has been brought out, but there has been a small accident. Kaido said angrily over there, what happened? Quinn. The pirates who were released did not stop Ron's footsteps. Ron has killed them all, if what is expected now is good. Kaido was puzzled when he heard this. What? I didn't hear it clearly just now, you say it again. Advertisement the wind in the sky was so strong that Kaido didn't hear it very clearly. However, at this moment, Ace said suddenly, oh, that guy Ron has caught up. Frowned and said, how is it possible? My flying speed is so fast, how can they catch up? The other party has no one who can fly, it is impossible to catch up with me. Ace said angrily, it's the boat, you idiot, they came up in the boat. At this time, Kai lowered his head and looked down. I saw him see the most exaggerated scene in his life. This warship was as if it had been pressed on a rocket launcher. A Lucaria was cut out from the entire sea, and the warship was galloping faster than imagined. What, did you use the shockwave just now? This Ron is very smart. After all, Quinn is a person in the scientific circle, and he can guess the cause and effect of the matter at a glance. Wait a moment. Why'd I still have time to think about this principle? This killing god is not here to chase them, right? It's over now, let him catch up. Quinn and Kai originally thought they could rendezvous with Kaido in advance. But never expected, it was still a step too late. So Quinn immediately said to the phone worm, Boss Kaido, come and save us, Ron is catching up. What? Kaido heard this sentence clearly, because Quinn yelled so loudly. Ron. That guy, he even dared to move me. You hold on there, and I will pass. Kaido's main purpose in coming here is to kill Ron. This is why he collaborated with Whitebeard. He needs to rely on Whitebeard to help him level the rest, so that he can deal with Ron alone. Kaido is the strongest creature after all, known as the King of Beasts. The arrogance in my heart is extraordinary. Ron killed his favorite subordinate and provoked him actively. How can Kaido's temper stand it? Boss Kaido, hurry up, we may not last long. Quinn was completely frightened. This Ron is really terrifying. At this moment, although they are flying in the air. But look down. You can see Ron standing on the deck, staring at them. That kind of gaze that penetrates the soul. That kind of oppression can be felt even below. Old Whitebeard, I have to go, you can attack. Advertisement. In that deep ocean, Kaido said in a deep voice. Wow, the noise is just what I want, and I'm also preparing to launch the offensive horn. I am here to contain Marine's main force, and I will leave it to you over there. Whitebeard laughed. Suddenly, the surrounding waves shook directly. In an instant, a few hundred meters of waves directly churned up from the bottom of the sea. Whitebeard, who is at the peak of his strength, without injury, this is his first shot. Then the whole world will be shocked by his appearance. No one would have guessed that Whitebeard has returned to his peak state and his injuries have been healed. Now the entire Marine headquarters still thinks that it is the old Whitebeard that is being dealt with. Whitebeard directly launched the tsunami, and in this monstrous tsunami, a green dragon broke through the water directly, fly into the clouds. In an instant, countless lightning entangled the dragon. Kaido's eyes narrowed. Find a good direction in the air immediately. Accompanied by a dragon chant, the whole body rushed towards there. Almost in the blink of an eye, he already came to Quinn and the others. Boss Kaido, you are finally here. This Ron has a problem. He is not like the information Whitebeard gave. He is not weak at all at night. Quinn told Kaido all of Ron's intelligence in the first place. In the dark night sky, several lightning flashes across Kaido's body 5.2. Brighten Kaido's blue dragon figure. This volume is longer than a few warships combined. And at the moment, he was looking down at Ron in midair. So you are Ron. Even if you killed Charlotte Linlin, that guy Linlin is too weak. I also heard that you stand on top of all human beings. When Kaido said this, his complexion became serious. Kaido came, and Quinn became bolder, interjecting. Our Kaido boss is the strongest creature, the king of beasts. Ron looked up, silently looked at Kaido, said blankly. You are also worthy to call yourself the king of beasts before me. Chapter 86. Auto-generated chapter title, 086. Sink your warship, what do you use to fight me on the sea? At the same time, at Marine headquarters, Sengoku just received a call from the Warden Magellan. Sengoku, the helper you invited is really amazing. When Sengoku heard these words, his heart was half relieved. How about it, is it okay at the undersea prison? As long as these heinous big pirates do not succeed in breaking out of prison, then their Marine's face can be saved. Magellan took a deep breath, then said. Don't worry, well, no one succeeded in breaking out of prison. After Sengoku heard these words, his hanging heart finally let go. That's good, you can lock up the rest of the people, we are about to have a big trouble here. Sengoku said seriously, because from his perspective, the entire sea is now violently turbulent. It was as if some underwater monster wanted to come out of the deep sea. Looking at the waves in the distance, Sengoku knew that the tsunami was coming. Magellan did say awkwardly, I'm afraid we can't imprison them. Hearing this, Sengoku was a little confused. What do you mean by that? These pirates who escaped are all 14 dead, and some have not even left their bodies. Did Ron do it all? Well, that's right, hiss. Sengoku was surprised at first when he heard this news. But there are no too many accidents. After all, during the day-to-day, I have just seen it once. So this time, there was not much mood swing. I always feel that if it were Ron, it wouldn't be strange to do all this. But this guy is really ruthless. All the pirates were killed. Although these are all heinous bad guys, they have been detained in the underwater prison after all. Sengoku couldn't help but shook it. It seems that the guy Kong chose Ron as the heir, and he has other plans in his heart. With Ron's attitude toward the pirates with no mercy at all. It seems to reflect Kong's inner thoughts. This old guy must be unwilling to be ruled by celestial dragons. So he needs a strong and decisive heir like Ron. Advertisement. Could it be that Kong is in the next big game? He let Ron inherit the position of his marshal, surely knowing that Ron will not be enslaved by celestial dragons. And Ron is strong. Isn't this Nagu Kong wanting to turn back? Forget it, there is no time to think about it now. Sengoku shook his head, clearing the thoughts from his mind. By the way, one more person ran out. Magellan suddenly remembered something, and said. Ace was rescued by them. Sure enough, I was rescued, but this is the best result compared to the entire underwater prison escaping. Sengoku sighed. After thinking about it, he asked. How long have they escaped? In which direction? Magellan. In less than a minute, I fled in the direction of Marine headquarters. Sengoku continued to stare at the constantly turbulent sea level. It seems that Whitebeard and the others are indeed in this position. If I'm not mistaken, they rescued Ace, intending to reunite with Whitebeard. Where's Ron? Magellan said immediately. Ron Admiral has caught up. Really? That's good, don't let Ace really escape. At this time, Sengoku suddenly noticed that a giant dragon rose into the air on the sea level. It was actually tried out from the sea. Is this Kaido? This guy can really move out of the sea, isn't it too ridiculous? Isn't he demon fruit power? Didn't expect that after the dragon is transformed, there will be a short-term contact with the sea? Sengoku saw this scene, could not help but sucked in a cold breath. It seems that the titles of the strongest creatures in the sea, land and air are really not for nothing. Flying out of the sea is only in contact with the sea for a moment. But this is enough to prove that he is strong, in other words. Now, the ship of Beasts Pirates and the Whitebeard Pirate group should be just below the sea area where Kaido flew out. Kaido must have flew out of their ship. It seemed that they had coated the boat, and sure enough, as Ron had imagined, they would use this method to carry out a surprise attack. It's just this Kaido, why come out in advance? Sengoku was a little puzzled. The sudden appearance of the huge dragon caused the alarm of the entire marine headquarters to sound abruptly. In an instant, he entered the first-level preparation state. Advertisement: all weapons and artillery in the headquarters were aimed at the dragon in the sky. The soldiers below saw 4 Emperors Kaido for the first time. It's 4 Emperors. I didn't expect the 4 Emperors Kaido to come in person. No, is he going to attack us? It turns out that Kaido is so big, this dragon is flying in the sky, so it feels so oppressive. These marine soldiers who saw Kaido for the first time immediately began to exclaim. Such a dragon hovered above them. The fear that it brings is really beyond action. According to Kaido's body shape, just step on it. Several of them can be trampled to death. Is this the 4 Emperors? What a terrifying aura. But Kaido hovered in the sky only once, and then galloped in one direction. Sengoku's expression changed. What did Kaido do? Don't you want to launch an attack? No, that direction is. Sengoku suddenly felt tight, because Kaido is flying in the submarine prison. Magellan, you just said that they brought Ace to Marin and flew over 720, didn't you? And Ron Admiral is chasing them? Magellan nodded. That's right, they left just a minute ago. Sengoku frowned. Oh, Kaido is going to intercept Ron. Magellan was also surprised, and said in a deep voice. It seems that they called Kaido for help. These guys know that they are not Ron's opponent, but they are very smart. But didn't you say that even the ant is not Ron's opponent? So this Kaido should be nothing in the past, Sengoku said with a worried expression on his face. No, things are different now. At this moment, Ron and the others are on the ocean. This is Kaido's home court. Kaido can fly. Once Ron's warship is sunk, how will this battle be fought? Although I don't know what kind of fruit ability Ron is, but one thing is certain, he will definitely die if he falls into the sea. And this guy Kaido, I saw him rush out of the sea just now. This guy's brief contact with the sea will not have any effect. Magellan took a breath after hearing the words. For Kaido, this battle is the right time, the right place, and everyone. Chapter 87, Auto-generated chapter title, 087. Garp, don't you release the water, you can't release the sea. No, it's too dangerous for Ron. Sengoku hung up the call with Magellan. In the office, pacing back and forth, lost in thought. After all, like their demon fruit power, the most feared is seawater. Therefore, if you fight at sea, it is very disadvantageous to those with fruit ability. Especially those who can't fly. At this moment, Ron has a warship. There are only Momosagi and Toshigi. Although Kaido may not be able to beat Ron, for Kaido, what he needs is not to beat Ron. He just needs to destroy Ron's ship. At that time Ron will fall into the ocean. As demon fruit power, if you fall into the ocean, you will definitely feel weak, only death awaited him. Kaido has a great advantage in this regard, not only can he fly. And most of the attacks are ranged skills, just release it against Ron in the air. With the strength of Kaido, the 4 Emperors, it is too easy to destroy a warship. Wait until Ron falls into the water. Kaido only needs to find ways to prevent Un from showing up. Even with the best result, Ron can knock Kaido into the water. This is also useless. Because Sengoku saw with his own eyes just now, Kaido can touch the surface of the water for a short time without becoming weak. It can be seen from the posture he just soared out of the deep sea. The name of the strongest creature, Kaido, deserves it. If Ron Admiral dies in a battle with Kaido, then the whole battle situation will be subversively reversed. Sengoku whispered as he paced. If it's on land, Sengoku naturally doesn't have to worry about this battle between Kaido and Ron. And based on Sengoku's understanding of Ron's strength, plus the battle with the ant during the day, if you want to live Kaido, there is no doubt about it. But now the battlefield is above the sea. For Kaido, the strongest creature by sea, land, and air, Ron is simply at a disadvantage. The only area where he can move is the small deck on the warship. Advertisement also desperately protect the warship from being sunk by Kaido. It can be said to be restricted everywhere. Basically, only defense can be achieved, and no attack can be launched. How can it be possible to win a battle with the 4 Emperors so unprepared? This is absolutely impossible. What should I do now? The Ron who do support it. Sengoku looked to Garp and Cranestaff. Cranestaff and Sengoku, old partner for decades, look at Sengoku's face to know what he was thinking, then said. Are you worried that Ron will be sunk into the sea among you? So you want to send someone to support him? Sengoku nodded. Cranestaff continued. But over and over again I am not the best person to find, right? Capacity by our side and there was no flight, relying on Marine 6 styles, endurance and 4 Emperors forced a decisive battle in the sea, then it would be too small for some of the winning. Really is trouble. No matter how many warships sent to, Kaido can put these ships sunk. The battle for Kaido is really too easy. Garp, stand up, Chen Sheng said. To the old lady would not let go. Akainu and Kizaru, these two guys cannot keep the air war for a long time, their ability to enter the fruits of the sea are also not the same. So they sent 2 previous use is not great, as Aokiji this kid. He did the best person he can force the frozen sea, produce to land. But, Garp said that, when, through the window, looking at whipping up waves of the sea. He shook his head, he continued, leave Aokiji here or, I think he will be used. Sengoku certainly knows what Garp is referring to. Cannot help but sighed, there is also the pressure of Whitebeard's offense. If there is a tsunami in a while, I am afraid that only Aokiji can solve the current dilemma. If Qingshang does not stay here, I am afraid that Whitebeard will directly wipe out Marineford in a tsunami. So Aokiji must not leave, since none of the 3 admirals can be dispatched. Then there is only Garp who doesn't have devil fruit ability. Although the air battle is for a long time, Garp has no advantage. Advertisement, but you don't die if you fall in the sea. And most importantly, Garp can get Ron back. The battlefield there is really not suitable for Ron. If you change Ron to the battlefield here, then it is a lure. Sengoku can think of it, surely Whitebeard can also think of it. This is why Whitebeard did it. Use Kaido, a creature that can fight by sea, land and air, to contain Ron. Thinking of here, Sengoku could only nod his head and then said, Garp, leave it to you. Be sure to change Ron back. Garp nodded, showing rare seriousness. Don't worry, the old man understands that I will hold Kaido, so that Ron can safely return to Ma Lin. This is the battlefield he should be. Sengoku walked over and patted Garp on the shoulder and said, Garp, I know they are holding Ace in their hands. I also know the relationship between Ace and you. Although I'm pretty sure you won't do that, I still want to remind you. Don't forget your identity, you are a Marine first, and then Ace's grandfather. Don't forget that they are pirates. Garp shook his head. Through his expression, it can be seen that he is entangled in his heart. But Garp still said, the old Zhao's husband understands what you mean. Don't worry, the old man won't let the water go anyway in this battle. Sengoku patted Garp on the shoulder silently again. This time he did not continue to speak, since my old buddies have said so. That can only choose to believe him, as long as Garp doesn't release water. It shouldn't be a big problem to solve Kaido. These arrangements of Sengoku judge. All are based on Ron being demon fruit power. He was afraid that Kaido would use despicable means to sink Ron to the bottom of the sea. After all, Ron's focus on the sea now is just a warship. But, what Sengoku doesn't know is, Ron is not demon fruit power at all. Chapter 88, Auto-generated chapter title, 088. The war on the top begins, the strongest man debuts. Garp leaves Marine headquarters, come to the dock. One glance at the rough seawater. I couldn't help but take a deep breath, it seemed that his speed was about to accelerate. There is no time to waste here. Afterwards, he directly led a fleet to chase in Kaido's direction. The speed of his warship is certainly not as fast as Kaido. But it was also full speed ahead. Garp has just left the dock. At this moment, in the deep ocean that Garp was staring at. Whitebeard got the information right away, I saw Marco said. I have to say that this submarine of Trajopolo is really very useful. Using him as a device to detect the enemy's situation, it can indeed achieve unexpected results. Not long ago, when Marco took all the doctors in the world forcibly. This includes Trajopolo, so as it should be, his submarine was also brought over. Unexpectedly, it came in handy at this time. Through the detection device on the submarine, you can clearly see every move on the wharf of Marine headquarters. The entire deep sea is dark. Although their boat is coated and lurking here, if you want to detect information outside, you must float up. At this time, you need to get to Trafalo's submarine. Diamond Joe ran over and said, how's it going? Are there any new trends in 720 at Marine headquarters? The Phoenix Marco smiled, said very proudly, it seems that the turmoil caused by the old man has finally worked. Marine is now like a frightened bird. They are worried that the old man will attack at any time, so they dare not carry out large-scale military mobilization. However, they were afraid that Ron was not Kaido's opponent in the ocean, so they could only send one more person to support Ron. Everything is exactly the same as our plan. The guy Marine sent is really Garp. After Marco finished speaking, looked at Whitebeard. Oh la la la. It seems, I expected it to be true. The only person Marine can send is Garp. Now that the troublesome guy is gone, then we can launch an attack. Foil Beasta said excitedly. It's worthy of the old man's strategy. If I'm not mistaken, the purpose of the tsunami that just triggered was to force Aokiji to stay here. In this way, the people that Marine can send will be screened out, and only Garp will be left. So even if Sengoku knew it was a conspiracy, he had to send Garp out because he had no other people to use. Advertisement Akainu and Kizaru are not suitable for long-term air combat. The only Aokiji that can turn the sea into land, and because Dad's tsunami made Marine jealous, they must stay here. This calculation is simply perfect. Phoenix Marco, father, the two biggest troubles in Marine have been spent. What shall we do now? A series of cadres, including the Phoenix Marco, Foil Vista, Diamond George, etc. all surrounded. Waiting for the father's order. Wow, la 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 la. Does that still need to be said? All be prepared. Don't be afraid of death, follow Daddy and me, let's go and make the world upside down. Attack. There are many Marlins. Although Ace has now been rescued from the underwater prison. But this is still Marine's territory after all, it is impossible to take Ace away directly. This battle is inevitable. The Marine headquarters must be maimed and their vital powers destroyed, so that they can't stop Ace from leaving. With a loud shout from Whitebeard, a fleet of 46 ships. Immediately upward from the deep sea, it rose quickly. Very fast. Due to this huge number, several huge bulges appeared on the originally calm sea. Some watchmen have already seen this scene. The alarm sounded without hesitation. In an instant, countless searchlights all convened in that direction in the sea. Come yet? Sengoku put down the telescope. staring closely at the tumbling sea. It turned out that before they knew it, they had already lurked into the inner bay. Slap, BEFC, almost instantly, all the lights in the marine headquarters were all lit up. Illuminate the entire headquarters like daylight. Bright one. And in the highest position, the three Admiral are already waiting there. Kizaru touched his chin and sat down slowly. Huh? Sure enough, did you choose to attack in the middle of the night? Whitebeard is still very cunning, really a terrible man. Akainu Sakazuki gave a cold snort, staring scorchingly at the constantly turbulent sea. Advertisement. You guys can give me a serious response to the enemy in a while. If you let the old man find you fishing, don't blame the old man for killing you for the first time. Akainu glared at Yellow Ape angrily. Kizaru's mouth was still crooked, as if not getting in. Huh? You are terrible too. It's a pity that Luo that guy went to deal with Kaido, otherwise, where would we need to be on the stage? Kizaru was really impressed by Ron's strength. At the same time, I also felt admiration for Whitebeard to turn away Ron's strategy. The reason why this man was able to become the strongest man seemed to be not in vain, not relying on brute force, but also very cunning. Aokiji also sat down. The only difference from the first two guys is that he neither spoke nor shook his legs. He just held his chin with one hand, a drowsy look. Staring silently at the sea. At this moment, the entire sea level has risen several meters. A drum kit, 2 drum kits, 30, 46, 46 bulges popped up directly across the sea. There was a boom. After all the seawater on the belt fell down. Exposed. It is a huge white whale head. It was the Moby D*K. A very strong man stood on the bow of the boat with a big sword in his hand. Behind him, the captains of the teams lined up, just like the Whitebeard Pirates. However, this is not over yet. Behind the Moby D*K, a whole group of 45 large pirates from all over the world followed closely. Any one of these people in New World is a big thief who can be named. A total of 46 pirate ships, at this moment, all are ready. Appeared in the many inner ports of Marin, for nearly 40 years. The biggest battle in the entire world is about to begin by Whitebeard and Edward Newgate. Goo la la la, Sengoku, you guy, where are you hiding? It's good for my son to be here with you. Chapter 89, Auto-generated chapter title. 089. You are the strongest creature? Rondi's Kaido, seeking subscription? Li Zhang. Sengoku frowned. At this moment, he has come to the originally scheduled execution platform. It's just that there is no ace here. Sengoku took the speaker. Staring at Whitebeard below. Unexpectedly, 4 Emperors Whitebeard would also engage in a midnight sneak attack, which disappointed the old man too much. Focus on the heart. Worthy of being the resourceful General Sengoku. But, Whitebeard also noticed that he didn't eat this set at all. Wow, la la la. Sengoku, do you think I care about what you say? Why are you standing on the execution platform alone? Didn't you say you want to kill my son Ace? Ace's people? Provocative, Kai Guoguo's provocation? Sengoku couldn't help frowning. This Whitebeard knew that Ace had been rescued now, and said so. It was just to provoke himself and suppress Marine's morale, by the way. How can a figure who can dominate the sea only rely on brute force? They also have extremely clever brains. Whitebeard, don't be happy too early. You haven't seen Ace yet? Maybe you will never see again. Sengoku shot back in the same way, when I heard this sentence. Obviously, Whitebeard's expression has changed. Obviously, he was very dissatisfied with what Sengoku said. After all, Ace's safety is what he worries most. No one can figure it out now. What happened to Kaido? Whitebeard is not sure whether Kaido can bring Ace back safely. I just hope that Kaido can give full play to his advantages in air combat. Actually, when Sengoku was talking to Whitebeard, he had already noticed something was wrong with Whitebeard. It's not just Sengoku, those strong contemporaries of Whitebeard. For example, Garp and Cranestaff, both of them looked dumbfounded. I thought I was wrong. I always feel that Whitebeard seems to be a lot younger. And this momentum is much stronger than before. It makes people feel like they faced Whitebeard 30 years ago. What exactly is going on? Sengoku also noticed something wrong. In fact, they haven't faced Whitebeard head-on for a long time. But today this Whitebeard definitely has a problem. Advertisement: his momentum is too strong. This is not like an elderly sick old man. This is clearly a man who is at the peak of his combat power. However, it is not waiting for a few of them to issue questions. Only heard a big laugh. Wow, Whitebeard didn't bother to continue talking nonsense with Sengoku. Clench both fists directly, he slammed down the air on both sides of him. In an instant, the power of shock fruit broke out without a doubt. The entire space vibrated violently, and even the atmosphere was torn into tiny cracks. The space is shattered. Suddenly, the sea on both sides of his body was like a huge rolling wave. Directly lift hundreds of meters high. If photographed by this wave, the entire Marlin will be destroyed. One of the 4 emperors, the strongest man, Whitebeard Edward Newgate, has shot. Moreover, it is a disaster of this kind of terrifying level. He is the only one capable of launching a tsunami-level attack like this? It's really troublesome. At this moment, Aokiji sitting on the seat of Admiral. I moved my muscles and bones, and then jumped directly out of the air. With your hands crossed, 2 icicles stretched out from your arms. When touching the sea, frozen it instantly. Wow, it's you, kid. But Whitebeard didn't seem to take it seriously, still hammer again with one hand. The ice wall several hundred meters high burst instantly. Seeing Whitebeard's calm look, the bad premonition in Sengoku's heart has grown stronger. Not good, this Whitebeard really recovered his peak strength. No one is his opponent now. No wonder they dared to launch a war on top in advance. Although I don't know how they did it, but Sengoku feels bad now. Even if they are the same 4 emperors, the 4 emperors are divided into different levels. Ant and Whitebeard are both 4 emperors, but the strength of the 2 is very different. Just like Marine Admiral, although they are both Admiral, the strength of the 3 is also different. And Whitebeard at this moment, Sengoku doesn't think anyone will be his opponent. Maybe there is only that man, right? When Sengoku thought of this, Ron's figure floated through his mind. It's a pity that Ron is entangled with Kaido now. I only hope that Garp can exchange Ron back as soon as possible, otherwise, the entire Marlin will suffer a devastating blow. Advertisement shock fruit is too destructive, and at this moment, Ron, who has always been missed by Sengoku for flowers, is standing on a warship above it. Sanyan was taking Queen Ace and flying in the air. And the dragon Kaido has just arrived here, hovering in the sky. The lamp stared at Ron coldly. Garp, who came to support, has not yet arrived. Kaido is not stupid. He closed his eyes and witnessed the scene where Ron killed the ant. He would not choose to go on Ron and head on. Although Kaido thinks that he is stronger than the ant, and has the body of the strongest creature, the fighting ability is also stronger than that of the ant. But even so, he still chooses the safest way. From the air, Vice Admiral Ron's warship was directly defeated, forcing Ron to fall into the sea. Quinn is a scientist after all, very good at analysis. He will observe Ron's intelligence along the way and tell Kaido all of it. Boss Kaido, pay attention to his strength. When we first met him, he was not that big yet. Perhaps at that time, just like the information from Whitebeard, Ron's strength reached the weakest. But I don't know how, this guy suddenly became so strong. Kaido continues to hover in the air, said coldly. The intelligence of these guys is really unreliable. It seems that Ron must have used some method to regain the power of the day. There must be something wrong, Quinn said immediately. Boss Kaido, don't underestimate the enemy. According to my observation, this Ron's strength is much stronger than when he was playing against the ant. Although I don't know how he did it, his strength has indeed improved. Kaido nodded. Yes? Even so, wouldn't it be the same death to fall into the sea? After Kaido finished speaking, staring coldly at Ron below, then suddenly opened the blood basin and mouthed. A scorching energy appeared in the mouth. It's like a flame compressed by high temperature. Keep accumulating energy. With a roar, illuminate the entire night sky instantly. Blazing fire, it jets downwards at a speed invisible to the naked eye. Dragon's Breath. Chapter 90, Auto-generated chapter title. 090. Don't talk about martial arts, can't close combat, and can't fight long range? When I saw Kaido hovering over his head, Momoshiki and Tashigi felt an inexplicable sense of oppression. Before that, they were about to catch up with Jin and Quinn. They only need to take Vice Admiral Ace from their hands, then the task is complete. I just didn't expect it. The other party does not speak martial arts. Actually call someone, called Kaido, the killer god back. If it's on land, Momoshiki and Tashigi are never worried. With their trust in Ron and their knowledge of Ron's strength, Kaido's end is not much better than that of the ant. Besides, they can clearly perceive that Ron's current strength seems to be much better than when he was fighting against the ant. Dealing with Kaido is certainly not a problem, but now. The problem is that they are at sea. There is only this warship at the foot. 723. If this warship was sunk by Kaido, they would have nowhere to stay. And Ron is still demon fruit power. Of course, this is what the two of them think. So they worry, what should they do if Ron falls in the water? Although the two of them are not demon fruit power, they can go down and save. But once he fell into the water, Ron would lose his combat effectiveness. At this moment, these 3 people hovering in the sky will never give Ron a chance to be rescued. This is exactly what the two are worried about. However, their worries seem to be justified. Because at this moment, Kaido really launched an attack. I saw the fiery pillar of fire, getting closer and closer to me. Terrifying heat, it has already come first. The entire night sky was shining fiery red. Kaido's breath of dragon, let alone a small warship. It can penetrate a mountain in an instant, this power can be imagined. Ron Admiral. The two of us know how to swim, let's jump into the sea to escape. Momoshiki and Tashigi blurted out almost subconsciously. They planned to make sure that Ron would not be drowned in the sea even if they were fighting their lives. Unexpectedly at this time, Ron said lightly, stand behind me. Ron's words were light, still expressionless, did not even look back at the two of them. But it's such a short sentence. However, the confidence of the two women increased greatly. Suddenly, a sense of security bursts. No more words at this moment. He immediately stood behind Ron. What? Ron directly picked up the tower of the god axe. Kaido direct throw in the direction of the past. Advertisement. Read a god axe in the air with dragon breath. Kaido's crashed together. Bump. Instant burst of fire. Like the day. Even in the air deadlocked for half a second. Then, Shenfu Rita directly to the dragon's breath split up. So abruptly to split up, in the eyes of everyone's astonishment. Rita, the god axe, advances all the way. pushing Kaido's breath of dragon backwards. He hacked directly at Kaido's forehead. Kaido's expression also lifted at this time. In an instant, a feeling of death enveloped my heart. Even if he claims to be his strongest creature, even if he is basically invulnerable. But, years of intuition told him, if you don't evade, the axe will take his head off. So Kaido didn't even think about it. Go over the head with the fastest speed. However, it was still a bit slow. Rita's sacred axe followed the trajectory and cut off his dragon horns without stopping. If it weren't for Kaido, he flashed his head in a hurry. I'm afraid his life won't be saved at this time. It's not just as simple as losing a dragon horn. A dragon horn was chopped off. Kaido's back felt cold. This axe is so sharp. Obviously there's no armament hockey on it. How is this possible? How is it possible to slash yourself? Master Kaido. Master Kaido, Yan and Quinn exclaimed immediately. They never expected. Kaido lost in the first confrontation. I was thinking about sinking the warship at Ron's feet. Never expected. Even if it is to occupy such a big advantage, we want to make their attack to touch each other's boats. It is so difficult. Kaido adult dragon breath can actually be blocked? But also so easily. I think I still look down on you. I actually heard a corner. Kaido gasped, steaming nose. Staring at Ron said. Ron looked up to see. He shook his head. It seems to be some disappointment. I missed it? Advertisement. It seems that you were really lucky it. Ron's voice said normal. But these words in the ears here it is particularly mockery. Well, you should not think that one will be able to win with my life attack it? Now your weapons are gone. Authors you can once again throw? Kaido looked hideous. Hot flame again in the mouth condensed. He cannot believe. Ron, there are ways to stop back again. Also coming, Momoshiki and Tashigi could not help but re-hid behind Ron. Power savings is completed. Dragon's breath come again. This time, it seems more violent than the previous one. And more rough. The sea around high temperature hot roasted piece of transpiration. The flame impact came in an instant, but this time. Ron didn't even summon Rita the god axe back, stretch out a hand directly. Just like this, he caught the breath of the dragon with his bare hands. The scorching flame hit Ron's palm directly, the shock that could have destroyed a mountain. That is enough to melt everything in an instant. At the moment it seems that it no longer works. Use some strength. Ron said lightly, still the expressionless look. How could it have no effect at all? It was the first time that Kaido was caught by the dragon's breath. And the opponent didn't even use armament hockey, Quinn said immediately at this time. 5.2 inches Kaido boss, temperature has no effect on him. He was at the undersea prison just now, and the high temperature he used was hundreds of times higher. So, however, at this moment, Quinn's words are not finished yet. The tower of the god axe that Ron threw just now, but directly turned around and flew back. What? Put it directly on Quinn's back. Puff, a fierce blood spurted out. The inertia brought by the powerful impact, smoke did not have time to catch Quinn. Rita, the god axe, directly smashed Quinn into the sea. Looking shocked, he never thought of it. The axe thrown out was brought back with a bend. Chapter 91. Auto-generated chapter title, 091. If a warship is destroyed, I will die? Who told you I am afraid of seawater? Oops, is there already a fight over there? Hurry up a little bit faster. Garp, who was coming to support, stood on the deck with a very anxious expression. After all, the speed of warships is limited. He has moved forward at full speed. Even so, it's still a step too late, seeing the flames ahead. You don't need to think about it, you know it must be Kaido's dragon's breath. In other words, the two sides have now encountered each other. Don't break Ron's warship, otherwise, everything is too late. Garp sighed. But it's no use worrying, but fortunately the distance is not too far. It should be too late. I don't know what's going on at Marine headquarters now. Is it also fighting? Ace, why don't you listen to me and become a seaman? It's good now, because you started a world war alone. The pattern of the whole world will change after tonight. Queen, seeing Quinn fell into the sea. The huge scar that was chopped out by God's 14 axe tower behind him is obviously no longer alive. He didn't expect Ron this guy. Even one face-to-face has already killed one of the 3 plagues. Kaido boss, Quinn. Even though Kai was wearing a mask, he could still feel the angry face under his mask. Kaido's face is even more ugly. Unexpectedly, the 2 dragon breaths did not bring any harm to the opponent. Instead, he lost a horn and killed a subordinate. In front of oneself, killed Quinn. It seems that you really are like the legendary demon fruit power that uses fire abilities. In this case, then I won't attack you. Kaido didn't believe it anymore. I attack you, you can stop it, but I attack your ship, can you stop it? Kaido continued to hover in the air. At the same time, the blood basin opened again. Ron shook his head and said blankly, I am not a fruitful person. Ron didn't even intend to hide it from Kaido, but Kaido definitely wouldn't believe what he said. Are you kidding me? In this sea, except for ordinary people, there are capable people. Tell me which ordinary person can release such a hot flame attack. So everyone, including Kaido, thinks that Ron's is a capable person in the Flame series. Although they did not find the corresponding ability in the Devil Fruit Manual. Advertisement, but years of experience tells them that Ron is demon fruit power. It's just that the devil fruit he eats is relatively rare. It just so happens that the Devil Fruit illustrated book didn't record it. You are not demon fruit power? Do you think I will believe it? Kaido thought the other party was scared, afraid of breaking his boat. This makes Kaido even more proud. Open the blood basin directly. Countless wind blades shuttled out of it. Wind blade. Every wind blade is like a powerful blow. The most frightening thing is that they have no rules and are extremely numerous. The trajectory of the air flight is also unpredictable. It almost hit Ron's warship with a saturated blow. It's horrible. Kaido is going to use this method. Come and destroy Ron's ship. Let Ron sink into the sea. The wind blade flies extremely fast. Its power is no less than the blow of the great swordsman, and this is just a random spray from Kaido's mouth. It can be seen how terrifying Kaido's strength is. Taste. Boom. The wind blade began to strike at the irregular saturation below. Suddenly, there are waves of tens of meters all over the sea. Boom. A wind blade that is as tall as Un's height. He rushed straight at Ron's face. Kaido stared at Ron closely. Do you avoid it? If you don't avoid it, it will hit you. If you avoid it, the boat behind you will be scrapped. However, Kaido didn't expect it. Ron really doesn't hide. This wind blade hit Ron directly. There was a loud bang. However, this is only the first. Thousands of wind blades that followed were swarmed down. Suddenly, the entire warship seemed to be bombarded by artillery in turn. All kinds of splint fragments are flying all over the sky. The Norwegian warship was torn apart directly. The smoke and dust in the sky can no longer see the situation. However, the impact of the huge wind blade caused hundreds of meters of waves to accumulate in the surrounding seawater. Bang bang bang. No matter how strong a warship is, it cannot withstand so many wind-bladed bombardments. It was almost in the blink of an eye. The entire warship has long been disintegrated, turned into fragments, and floated on the sea. And Ron's figure disappeared. The whole sea is in a mess. Advertisement. This scene, Garp, who had just been driven over, saw it. At this moment, he couldn't help being shocked. After all, it was a step too late. Has this guy Ron been beaten to the bottom of the sea by Kaido? The worst case still happens. Too many of these guys really did it for the purpose of breaking Ron's warship. How can there be warships in the entire sea now? Some are just messy pieces. Kaido. Garp frowned and shouted. Kaido just closed his mouth, turned his head and looked at Garp. Cannot help but sneer. Garp, I didn't expect you to be here. It's a pity that you were one step too late after all. Ron has been beaten to the bottom of the sea by me. As demon fruit power, you should know his fate. Ha ha ha. Garp looked cold. If Ron really died here, then the whole battle will be very detrimental to their Marine 723. This damn Kaido. Now, Garp doesn't have much hope. Although he is not demon fruit power, he also knows it very well. What happens once demon fruit power falls into the sea? Could Ron really drown? You came just right, just to show you how fragile a person who can't fly is in the sea. Kaido hovered twice in the air and said coldly, when Kaido is proud. When Garp was angry, suddenly, an indifferent voice came from the depths of the sea. Who said, I am from demon fruit power, whoever will I fall into the sea will die. Kaido heard this sentence, his complexion changed drastically. He was so familiar with the voice. How is this possible? This is Ron's voice. As a capable person, shouldn't he fall into the sea and become weak? How can he still speak? Wrong. Wait a moment. Why did the ocean where Ron fell was boiling? The sea is boiled? Kaido's complexion changed drastically. Garp is also incredible. At this moment, the sea was like boiling water. It was boiling hot. Chapter 92, Auto-generated chapter title. 092. Ron is not demon fruit power, seeking subscription. The countless wind blades all over the sky just now. Indeed, Ron's warship was smashed, and Ron was indeed hit to the bottom of the sea. But they overlooked one point. Ron is not demon fruit power at all. His abilities all stem from the 7 deadly sins template. It has nothing to do with devil fruit. It's just that people in this world don't understand it. They think Ron is demon fruit power. So, they thought that Ron would die if he fell into the sea. However, not only did Ron not die, when it sank to the bottom of the sea, nothing happened. The current template progress is 88.6%. If Kaido is killed, it should be able to rise to 90%. Ron muttered to himself in the deep ocean. Host, when the template progress reaches 90%, you can get the ultimate skills. At this time, the voice of the system came out. Oh, 90% of the ultimate skills can be obtained. Then what is the ultimate skill? Summon the noon sun. The system only spoke 6 short words. Ron's expression was startled. What skill is this? Ron has never heard of it in the original book. As for the world of Ace Kano, I am the only one. Ron can use it when the template progress reaches 80%. It stands to reason that this should be considered the ultimate skill. But I didn't expect it. There is even a skill called Summon Noon Sun in this world. And what does this skill sound like? How does it feel? A bit exaggerated. Host, this skill can force the noon sun to be summoned. Provide a steady stream of magic power for the host. During the summoning period, the host uses the ultimate version of heaven and earth, so the ego will not consume vitality. Open black lens bracket summon noon sun. You can use it once a day. It's an exaggeration. Ron's expression became serious. You mean, at any time, I can summon the sun at noon, right? Yes, that's what it means. Even in the early morning now. Yes, even in the early hours of the morning, hiss. This is no longer the scope of magic power, right? It was actually able to summon the sun in the sky. In other words, even in the early hours of the morning. After Ron used this trick, the noon sun will hang directly in the east. Advertisement it turned into daylight in the wee hours. It really is the power of the system, too exaggerated. Although it can only be used once a day, but once it is used, it is really invincible. Ron's current passive skill is the sun in his heart, although he can directly use the power of the day for an unlimited time. But it is not the strongest force that is used. I can't beat the sky and the world, but I dominate the state. But to achieve that state, you must have the sun at noon. In other words, only 1 minute at noon each day can you use heaven and heaven alone. But, if he acquires the skill of summon noon sun, it means that he can reach the strongest state for 1 minute at noon at any time. Summon the noon sun, I am afraid that the Demon King will not be enough for him to fight. And it's early morning, if he is really forced to summon the noon sun, I guess they will be blinded by Baihuji, right? Ron shook his head, only to realize that he has now reached the bottom of the sea. It seems, Kaido must be killed as soon as possible. The moment Ron touched the bottom of his feet, stand firm. Reach out your hand directly, respond to me, Rita. From somewhere in the deep sea, I saw the axe that brought Quinn into the bottom of the sea just now. Instantly wanted to use Ron's call to gallop from the bottom of the sea. Just like a torpedo. Draw a white line and fly quickly to Ron's hand. Immediately afterwards, Ron raised the tower of the god axe. In an instant, a fiery light came out from the axe. A huge fireball was instantly formed on the axe, the merciless sun. This is the deep sea. Water pressure alone can crush a person to death. But Ron was standing here, as if he was no different from a small ditch. When the hot sun came out, the scorching high temperature of 2000 degrees almost instantly evaporates the surrounding sea area. At this moment, a huge hole formed around Ron, no water belt. Ron stood on the bottom of the sea. Within a few hundred meters of the entire body, an invisible wall of gas is formed. Because of the intense high temperature, any water near here evaporates instantly. The whole sea was in the middle, and Ron was occupying a flat ground abruptly. Hot water vapor continuously evaporates upwards from this cavity. Advertisement: a piece of white mist. Who told you that I am afraid of seawater? Who told you that I would die if I fell into the water? Ron was standing on the bottom of the sea holding the hot sun. Even the surrounding sea water could not get close. At this moment, Kaido in the sky is watching this scene. He almost dropped his chin in shock. He thought he had a chance to win. In Kaido's cognition, Ron must be demon fruit power. The moment I hit him into the water just now, it meant that the outcome was determined. But how is the situation different now? Why didn't the other party die? Instead, it can use the ability in the water. How can this be? How can his devil fruit do this? At this moment, Garp, not far away, also witnessed this scene with his own eyes. Even for most of his life, Garp had never seen such a weird person. Obviously has been driven into the bottom of the sea. Why is there nothing? It was even able to use the ability on the bottom of the sea, evaporating almost the entire sea into a big hole. This is also terrible. Isn't he afraid of seawater? Doesn't this mean that this man has no weakness at all? Just before that, Garp witnessed Ron being shot into the water. At the time, he thought Ron was bound to die, even worried about Marine's next situation. But now, the situation is directly reversed. Zhao is good. Not only did Ron not die, instead, a stronger force broke out. Sengoku, who was at a loss, asked the old man to come over to support Ron, so it seems that the situation in front of you does not need the old man's support at all. Kaido looked at Ron incredulously, said coldly, why can you use abilities underwater? Why did you not die when you fell into the water? Ron held the blazing sun with one hand. The tone was still flat, said brother. I said, I am not demon fruit power, you don't believe me. Kaido froze. Isn't Ron really demon fruit power? How can this be? Could it be possible to achieve this level with a normal human body? What kind of creature is this? Chapter 93, Auto-generated chapter title. 93. Who said I can't fly? Temporarily called the sin of laziness template, floating. Ace was also stunned. Everyone is playing with fire. Why is the gap so big? Watching Ron below, relying on a huge fireball, he could evaporate the surrounding seawater. There is even a huge open space on the bottom of the sea. Keep the surrounding seawater away from it, as it will evaporate once it gets closer. This, ask yourself, you can never do it yourself. Even if he tried his best, he couldn't ignite a fireball in the sea. The gap is too obvious. Ace thought that Marine Admiral should be the best, but now it seems that he is superficial. The most powerful is the Army Admiral. If you let this guy go and face your old man, the consequences would be disastrous. Now, Ace's mind was spinning fast, in his current judgment. Kaido should probably be over. He couldn't stop the man in front of him. This is the last scenario Ace wants to see, and now I learned an important piece of information. That is Ron, not demon fruit power at all. He is not afraid of seawater at all. In other words, he has no weakness at all. Originally, he thought Kaido could kill Ron with this trick. Even just now, the moment Ron fell into the sea. Ace really believed it, really believed that Ron would die like this. 0. 723. But who would have thought that he would stand up in such a miraculous way? Even this trick didn't kill Ron. Ace couldn't think of any other way to kill Ron. He is very unwilling to leave Ruin from here and join Dad's battlefield. But Kaido didn't seem to be able to stop Ron. Now Kaido's only remaining advantage is that it can fly in the sky. This is how to do. How can I stop the man in front of me? Boom. In an instant, the scorching sun in Ron's hand flew directly into the sky. Directed at Kaido and greeted him. Kaido's complexion changed. Kai is also tight. He knows the temperature of the sun. The trick in the underwater prison just now killed all the pirates directly. Had it not been for this guy Ace to use all his strength to resist, I'm afraid they would be buried under this trick. Ace, can't you block this fireball? Use your ability to block it quickly. Speak directly. Ace's face went dark. The expression was very speechless, and he said without saying. Advertisement, what are you kidding? When I stopped it just now, I already said that it took almost all of my BEFC stamina. Who do you think of me? Do you really think I can stop such a terrifying attack twice in a row? Yan coldly snorted and said, the captain of the 2nd Division of the Whitebeard Pirates is not that good, it's really useless. Ace. You, while talking, the blazing sun has rushed over. Kaido frowned, made the wisest choice of his life. He decided to avoid this fireball. This kind of horrible attack is hard for a fool to accept. Kaido is not stupid. If this move is hard to follow, even if you don't die, you will be seriously injured. And it's in the air now. No one is more flexible than this dragon. It is too easy to avoid this fireball. Think of it here. Kaido's huge dragon claws grabbed Kai and Ace directly. Flew away quickly in the air. At the very moment, he finally avoided this huge fireball. Bursting arrogance, however, this is not over yet. Ron scratched lightly with his hands below. This fireball that originally passed Kaido suddenly exploded directly, huge shockwaves and hot temperatures. It patted Kaido directly on the back of the entire dragon. Almost instantly, there is a faint smell of burning. Even with pervert defenses like Kaido dragon scales. The entire back was also burned extensively, hiss. Kaido took a breath. There was a raging fire on the entire back. The dragon scales were actually burned. Kaido was in great pain and couldn't care about anything else. Directly from the air, like a green onion headed upside down, he pierced one end. He quickly dashed into the sea, swim around in the sea. Shout and shout, a few plumes of white smoke suddenly appeared on the sea level. The fire on Kaido's body was then extinguished by the sea. Kaido finally came over, flying up again, although he is the strongest creature by sea, land and air. His fruit ability can be used normally on the seabed like a bug. But it was only a few minutes. Advertisement. After this time, he became weak as a normal devil fruit ability. So he didn't dare to stay too long. After extinguishing the flame on his body, he flew out directly. At this moment, his back has been burned extensively. Relying on the terrible recovery ability of Zone Devil Fruit's awakening, it will not be seriously injured. If you didn't rush into the sea in time to put out the fire. I am afraid that half of his body is being scorched right now. Is Garp over there? You came just right. Take these two guys away. Ron jumped up from the bottom of the sea, jumped onto Garp's warship. Ron holds the magic axe Rita in one hand and embraces Momoshiki and Tashigi in the other. When jumping on the Garp warship, put Momoshiki and Tashigi on it. With these two burdens, it is really not conducive to play. Then he said to Garp. The old man Garp was startled for a while. Mainly surprised by Ron's attack just now. Only after experiencing such a close distance did I know the horror of this flame. The heat wave just now almost burned his skin. You know, Garp is still a long way from the center of the explosion. Even so, being affected by this heat wave, there will be such obvious burning pain. It can be seen how big the temperature of the explosion center was at that time. Don't you need the old man's help? Garp asked a little bit differently. Unnecessary. Ron said lightly, but as far as the old man knows, you don't know how to fly. Kaido won't fall down and fight with you, even if you can rely on this fireball to hit him constantly, but after he finds out the way, I'm afraid you won't be able to attack him again. You can't fly, it will be very hard to hit him. Garp is telling the truth. After all, as long as you can't fly, you will never be able to approach Kaido. And observe from Garp. Ron can only deal with the distant enemy with the big fireball. But this kind of fireball can be hit once and twice, but it will never hit the third time. For a 4 emperors, it is impossible for him to be hit 3 times in a row by the same attack. Unexpectedly, Ron did say indifferently, who said I can't fly anymore? Subsequently, Ron said silently in his heart, the system, temporarily calling the template of the crime of laziness, the golden ability, floating. Whether to consume 1% of the progress value, and use the power of other templates when it comes. Yes. Chapter 94, Auto-generated chapter title, 094. Marine Headquarters is about to collapse. Ron becomes the only hope. At this moment, Marine Headquarters, facing Whitebeard's powerful attack. Marine suffered heavy losses. Unexpectedly, Whitebeard suddenly became so strong. Wow, Sengoku, are you so capable? While Whitebeard was talking. With both fists harder again, the muscles on the entire arm burst. Smash into the air forcefully. The surrounding air bursts at a speed visible to the naked eye. Cracks appeared into space. In an instant, this vibrating force suddenly uttered. quickly spread. This terrible force even collapsed half of Marlin's numerous buildings. Sengoku frowned. As the chief division, he must sit on the podium. But the following battle is not optimistic. This time it wasn't just the Whitebeard Pirates who came here. In addition to the 46 Whitebeard Pirates fleet, there are more than 100 Kaido Pirates smile fruit capable people. This lineup. Marine has felt the pressure doubled. Marine's high-end combat power can be shot, but Marine's low-end combat power is far inferior to the 4 Emperor's Pirates. Marine basically except 3 Admiral. There is no combat power that can be used at all. Except for the Vice Admiral of Garp, going up is basically the same as sending. He is far inferior to the captain of the 4 Emperor's pirate group. Now, Marco and Diamond George stopped Kizaru and Aokiji respectively. Although they are not the opponents of these 2 Admiral. But you can also drag these Admiral temporarily, and the task of the 2 of them was only temporarily delayed. And Akainu, he is not a Whitebeard opponent with complete physical strength at his peak. Facing Whitebeard in such a state, he retreated steadily. Whitebeard, who has recovered from his injury and returned to his state 30 years ago, is truly the strongest man. Not only that, things that make Sengoku a headache even more. Those beasts pirates like crazy bloodthirsty. The devil fruit eaten by these guys often appears in a certain part of the body in a strange way. They are extremely powerful, far better than ordinary Marines. This group of people rushed over. Basically it was a unilateral massacre. Advertisement people above Vice Admiral can't stop them. But, even Vice Admiral is dispatched. There are 6 volleys on the Kaido Pirates. The strength of these 6 guys far exceeds the average Vice Admiral. And each of them was once the captain of the great pirate group. Their strength, much stronger than the average big pirate. Urti, Peggy Wan, Foz Fu, Triceratops Suzuki, etc., they all have the ancient species devil fruit. The defense is amazing. The resilience is also amazing. On the battlefield it's like a meatball chariot, rampage. The entire Marine suffered heavy casualties. I don't know what happened to Garp. Did you change Ron back? Sengoku couldn't help but started, a little anxious. The current situation is extremely not optimistic. First of all, no one on the battlefield can stop Whitebeard. Secondly, Marine's mid-low combat power is far worse than the 4 Emperor's pirate group. If this battle drags on, Marine's advantage will get smaller and smaller. Marine now relies on 100,000 seamen, which has a huge advantage in number. But this advantage is shrinking rapidly. Go on like this. I'm afraid the result is not good. Only Ron will be able to reverse the situation. The Suru staff saw Sengoku with this anxious look for the first time. She also knows that the situation on the battlefield is very bad now. No matter how deep they calculated, they never thought of it. Whitebeard Edward Newgate will regain his peak strength. Who would have thought that the Whitebeard Pirates still kept this hand? The sudden surprise Whitebeard gave Marine really caught Marine off guard. Improper preparation. This will lead to such a heavy loss. Sengoku. It really doesn't work. Let's apply to the world government for some troops and ask for support. The Crane staff can only make this bad move. After all, the current situation is not optimistic. Sengoku shook his head and said, it's impossible, it's too late. Even if they come to support now, they won't be able to arrive at least tomorrow morning. At that time, Whitebeard and the others had already won. The Crane staff looked at the ruined ones, and there were many Marlins. Advertisement said, what can we do then? Whitebeard's shock fruit is too destructive. If you let him destroy it unscrupulously, I am afraid that the entire Marlin will be destroyed. Akainu guy, although he has great potential, he is not yet Whitebeard's opponent at his peak, so he shouldn't last long. Ask for flowers. Sengoku nodded and looked down. Akainu was seriously injured, and he also understood that the staff at Crane was telling the truth. Although Admiral's strength is similar to that of 4 Emperors. But it is different between 4 Emperors and 4 Emperors. Kaido and Ant are also 4 Emperors, but they are not at the same level as Whitebeard at their peak. At this moment, Whitebeard is on the same level as One Piece. Unless Garp at the peak takes a shot, there is a possibility of competition. But let's not say that Garp is no longer in peak condition, and he has gone to support Ron now, not on the scene at all. Thought of here, Sengoku threw down the cloak directly. It seems that I can only hold the monster by myself. Try to delay Ron's return as much as possible, only in this way can the battle be reversed. Sengoku now believes in Ron's strength. I saw with my own eyes how Ron killed the ant, and from Magellan, I heard with my own ears how Ron killed the entire underwater prison alone. So, facing the unbeatable peak, Whitebeard, Sengoku can only pin his hopes on Ron now. Sengoku thought of this and threw the cloak directly on the ground. Then he jumped directly from the high platform, and jumped down towards the square below. When jumping into the air again, everyone is fruitful, and the form of the great Buddha is instantly activated. At the moment of landing, it instantly became a big Buddha. Research. 0. The entire ground split instantly. The emergence of Sengoku. It immediately boosted the morale of Marine's side. Also attracted the attention of other pirates. Is this the Sengoku of Buddha? I didn't think it was really a big Buddha. Sengoku, this old guy hasn't shot for decades, right? Unexpectedly, he can't sit still. The pirates immediately looked frantically at this side. Gula lala, Sengoku, the last time we met was still decades ago. Whitebeard held Kongyun and cut, looking at Sengoku coldly, smiled. And on another battlefield. Ron, right in the midst of Garp and Kaido's startled eyes. Just like this, my feet gradually lifted off the ground, slowly floating in the air. Chapter 95, Auto-generated chapter title. 95. You should run away when you see me flying, it's too late now. For the 7 Deadly Sins template system, if you want to change to the next template, you must wait until the current template progress is 100%. But there is one exception. If you only temporarily mobilize the capabilities of other templates, you only need to pay 1% of the current template progress to temporarily obtain the template capabilities you want. Ron's current progress value for the Crime of Pride template ability is 88%. After 1% is consumed, 87% remains. After the consumption is over, Ron can acquire the Sin of Laziness for 1 hour of the power of gold. Can float in the air. In other words, Ron is now using the 7 Deadly Sins of Arrogance template. On the basis of, at the same time, he gained the ability to float. This feeling is really convenient. Ron felt that this kind of ability was just like he was born with, and he didn't have any trouble in using it. Just like using chopsticks for eating, your brain will not actively think about how to pick up the rice and deliver it to your mouth accurately. Everything can be done subconsciously. At this moment, Ron's flying too. You don't need to think much, just want to fly, so you can fly. Control the body. Ron's feet slowly moved off the deck, then floated up into the air. Kaido was stunned. Please report it, but it didn't say that Ron can fly. And when he played with his aunt today, he never showed the ability to fly. Besides, if this guy can fly, why did he chase Kai on a warship just now? If you fly directly, isn't that faster? All kinds of doubts make Kaido really unacceptable. Unable to accept the fact that Ron can fly, but what the eyes see can't deceive people. Ron was indeed floating in the air, and he was getting closer and closer to him. How could you fly? Kaido asked incredulously. To know, Ron just said that he is not demon fruit power. For a person of his level, it is naturally impossible to panic. So Kaido must believe it. Ron is indeed not demon fruit power. But, as an ordinary person, it is already exaggerated to be able to release such a high temperature, okay? You suddenly showed the ability to fly again. Advertisement. Is it a bit too much? Kaido's only advantage now has disappeared. He even had some feelings of fear, although this feeling was just a flash. But Kaido was still shocked. He has never felt this way since he joined Rock's Pirate until now. I never said that I can't fly, Ron replied lightly. At the same time, the distance between him and Kaido is getting closer. Garp with a look of astonishment below. At this moment, I couldn't help but shed a trace of cold sweat. The reason why he came to support Ron. First, I was worried that Kaido would knock Ron into the sea and let Ron, the demon fruit power, die in the sea. Secondly, it was because Sengoku was worried that Ron would not fly. Unable to engage in air combat with Kaido, will definitely be at a disadvantage. That's why I sent myself over to play against Kaido to solve Ron's shortcomings. But now it seems, my trip was really in vain, it's not of any use at all. First of all, the monster Ron is not demon fruit power at all. He is not afraid of seawater at all, you can even release your skills at will in the ocean. Secondly, Ron, this monster, can fly. There is no need to worry about the air battle between him and Kaido. Kaido couldn't get any benefits in front of him, so what did you come here for? Is it to help Ron take care of his 2 little girls? The old man is a marine hero no matter what. Was he reduced to being a nanny? Momosagi and Tashigi didn't expect Ron to fly either. It can be said that they have spent the longest time with Ron in the whole marine. But even so, I have never seen Ron demonstrate the ability to fly. Of course it was a pleasant surprise to see it at this moment. Blue. Just then, Garp's phone rang. Garp was looking up at Ron, flying up a little bit, when suddenly his thoughts were interrupted by the phone bug. Advertisement, so he picked up and said, Crane, what's the matter? As soon as the Crane staff heard that there was no battle on Garp's side. Hasn't this guy caught up with Kaido? So asked. What is the situation on your side that asked you to support Ron, hasn't it been there yet? The situation is very urgent now. Sengoku has already personally entered the battle. Whitebeard is as good as he was when he was young. None of these juniors can deal with him. I can only hope that Ron Admiral will come quickly, and only Ron can control Whitebeard in this state. So what's the matter with you? Replace Ron quickly. That guy can't fly, and he's afraid of the sea. Staying there to fight Kaido has no chance of winning at all. The Crane staff did not know the specific situation here. Garp sighed and said, Here, I don't need me anymore. I believe that in a while, the 4 emperors will be pulled down again. Staff Crane was taken aback for a moment and didn't know what Garp's sudden words meant. So he asked, What do you mean? Garp took a deep breath and said, Ron is not demon fruit power, and he can fly. Simple one sentence. The Crane staff officer on the other end of the phone was stunned. How do people who are not capable of fruit do all of this? And can fly? This is too pervert, right? Although Garp didn't answer his words directly. 5.2. But when Garp said that Ron could fly, the Crane staff already knows. Kaido is over. Kaido watched Ron get closer. The beast form was immediately lifted. Directly used the strongest half-human and half-beast form. This is also the strongest state of Zone Devil Fruit. Kaido is tight now. Take an unprecedented seriousness. Forget it. Ron can fly. Ron looked at Kaido quietly. Still that expressionless face, said indifferently. You should run away when you see that I can fly. Chapter 96, Auto-generated chapter title, 096. Approve the use of ancient weapon, Uranus, subscribe 1/10. Now, in Marijoy, inside the secret meeting room of the world government. 5 elders are all kneeling here. In front of them, there is a throne aloft. It's just that there is no one there, but even so. 5 elders didn't dare to look up. Who would have thought that the 5 old guys at the pinnacle of power in the world would actually have a time to bow down? 5 people knelt in a row. The whole atmosphere was solemn to the extreme. A full half an hour, only one person appeared slowly. I saw this man wearing a dark cloak, can't see the face. His pace is very slow, just walked up the steps step by step. But 5 elders were all silent. Even if the opponent walks slowly, but every step down, it seems to be heavy. Let these 5 old guys dare not look up, even the atmosphere did not dare to breathe. The sound of footsteps seemed to contain their heartbeat. Before the footsteps fell, the heart didn't dare to beat. The guy who can make 5 elders feel so scared, there is only one. That's Yimu, the most powerful man in this world. The actual controller of world conquest, the only one who knew 14 secrets in 800. He is also the top boss of 5 elders and the king of all celestial dragons. There are no more than 10 guys in the world who know his existence. Everyone thinks that 5 elders is the pinnacle of power in this world. But no one would have thought. A person as strong as 5 elders is nothing but the other's pony. In front of the Lord, he didn't even dare to lift his head. It took 10 minutes to walk the short stairs. 5 elders seems to have spent the longest 10 minutes of life. After Master Yim sat down, 5 elders breathed a sigh of relief. Let's talk about it. What did you call me out this time? Yim's tone was very flat. No anger can be heard, no feelings can be heard. But there is an unquestionable coercion, this feeling. Make 5 elders, fat, tight, this feeling is too familiar to him. Advertisement when facing Ron at the time, Ron gave him this feeling. It seems to be in a trance, it was noticed by Yim. Why, there is something wrong with your face, what happened outside during my retreat? Yimu is an old monster that has lived for 800 years, and is the first person immortalized by op fruit. He has to go to retreat every once in a while. For 800 years, even if an ordinary person lives for 800 years, his strength has reached the point where he cannot be added. Even if this person only practices boxing normally. 800 years of practice is enough to crack mountains and rocks. What's more, this person is Yimu, but I am, the secret of living so long. This is only known to them, 5 elders. For an old monster who has lived for 800 years, nothing can be hidden from his eyes. No one keeps a secret in front of his eyes, he just looked randomly. I saw that 5 elders, fat, seemed to have something on their minds. 5 elders, fat, who was seen through his mind, paused and didn't hide it. He raised his head and said, Master Yim, we found a potential threat. It's tricky. Yim frowned and said, has anyone come out to make trouble again? The last time this disobedient person was Rox. Hear the name again. 5 elders kneeling below, his heart is also tight. That guy was really troublesome at the time, if it weren't for the Roger Pirates team, I'm afraid he wouldn't be able to take Rox. But, 5 elders, fat, shook his head and said, my lord, this time this may be more troublesome than Rox. His strength is bottomless. Yimu was interested this time, but he was still expressionless. Oh, who is this person you were talking about? Is it also a certain pirate who is looking for death? 5 elders, fat, no, he is not a pirate, he is from Kong, and now he is an army admiral. Imton has been there for a moment, and it seems that he didn't think of the army and admiral's position. But don't care, since we are insiders, how come it becomes a threat again? 5 elders, fat, hurriedly said, this person is very arrogant, not commanded by anyone, and he has repeatedly confronted me, and even dared to do something with me. He doesn't see world government and celestial dragons in his eyes. We do not need a disobedient admiral, otherwise it will be troublesome to keep it in the future. Yim nodded. Since you are not obedient, there is indeed no need to keep him. Let's talk about what you were here for. 5 elders, fat, saw that his proposal was successful and immediately said excitedly. Master Yim, we apply to use Uranus. Yim was slightly taken aback. Frowned and said, advertisement, the 5 of you can deal with him. Why do you want to apply for Uranus? Do you know what the consequences will be if Uranus is used? 5 elders glanced at each other. They certainly know what the consequences will be if Uranus is used. But now, it's time to reach the point where it won't work if you don't use it. 5 elders, fat, immediately took out a videophone worm. After asking Yimu for permission to play, only then did Ron and Auntie's game all come out. The battle lasted less than 10 minutes. The scene is extremely exaggerated. Ron's combat effectiveness was vividly displayed. Ant 4 Emperors was like a woman with no abdominal muscles in front of him. Even Yim couldn't help thinking after watching this video. It's interesting and interesting. It's been a long time since I saw anyone that aroused my interest. Well, with the 5 of you, it is indeed not his opponent. I approve the use of Uranus, Yim said lightly. It seems that Ron's appearance only aroused his interest. And he didn't think that this man would be his opponent. Using Uranus, these 5 old guys should be able to solve them. 727. After Yim finished speaking, he turned and left here, just lightly sprinkled Ron in the screen before leaving. After Yimu left for a long time, 5 elders dared to stand up. Just got up and let out a sigh of relief. That sense of oppression finally disappeared. Haven't seen you for so long, my aunt has become stronger again. But this time Uranus was finally approved, and it seemed that it was time to teach Ron a lesson. Let him humiliate himself last time, 5 elders, fat, thought to himself. For people of their status, what they want is not a strong admiral, but an obedient admiral. If an admiral is only strong and not obedient, it is better not to be. And on the other side, the battle between Ron and Kaido has just begun. At this moment, Ron doesn't know yet. What will he face after the war on the top is over? It is also unclear. He has already been spotted by 5 elders and Yim. Ron, you don't think that if you defeat Linlin this woman, you will definitely defeat me. Kaido has changed into a half-human animal state at this moment. Holding a mace in his hand, floating in the air as well, staring at Ron coldly. Is not it? What is the difference between you and the ant? Ron floated in the air, said lightly. Chapter 97, Auto-generated chapter title. 097. Receiving thunder and gossip with bare hands, is this your full attack? Ha ha ha. What's the difference between me and that guy Linlin? Really interesting question. Kaido held a mace in his hand and laughed grimly. Subsequently, his eyes were cold. The whole expression suddenly became serious. The body also leans forward slightly. In the state of human beings and animals, the whole person's sense of oppression has become particularly dignified. There was a crimson conqueror's hockey entwined all over, making a popping sound from his mouth like lightning. The whole person's momentum continues to soar, slowly spit out a mouthful of hot air. The whole face went dark. Kaido seemed to have heard a big joke. Actually asked him how is he different from Linlin. I don't know, it's ignorance, still fearless. Do you really think that if the master has the ability to fly, he can defeat the dragon of the overlord in the sky? What a big joke. Young people nowadays are becoming more and more arrogant. Although the ant is known as a steel balloon, her physical strength is not enough compared to Zone's awakened devil fruit. What's more, he is still in Eudemons, as the rarest demon fruit power. The mighty dragon gives it an almost immortal body. Extremely strong resistance to hitting, and the ability to recover in a flash. Coupled with the flying ability of this proud group of heroes. It can be said that whether it is mobility, defense, healing, or brute force. Both are stronger than Charlotte Linlin and much stronger. What Zone Devil Fruit is best at is long-term battles. Even with its almost pervert resilience, it will be hard to wear to death. Kaido is just that, staring at Ron coldly, saying word by word. Then I will show you today, what is the difference? The voice just fell, hooking his body directly in the air. The mace in his hand crackled. Above Conqueror's hockey flows layer by layer again. This is a Conqueror's hockey technique that only a handful of people can master. It can make him flow on the body surface like armament hockey, thereby producing more destructive power. This is basically a skill that can only be possessed after stepping into the Imperial level. There are countless strong people on this sea, but there are countless people who can truly master the skill. Anyone can be regarded as the overlord of one party. And Kaido, this is one of them. Under the flow of conquerors, the entire night sky became weird. Pressure around, advertisement just like the essence. Kaido's body was half suspended in the air, he in half man and half beast form. Not only has the terrifying physical quality of the orcs, perverts defensive power, and super high movement speed. It also possesses the flexibility of human beings. This is also the strongest state of Zone Devil Fruit. Kaido despised Ron despite his lips, but in his heart. But he completely regarded this battle as the most important battle in his life. I have already taken full preparations, now he is fully focused. No matter what the occasion is, I keep everything around me outside. There is only one person in the eyes, that is the opponent in front of you. Army Admiral, Ron. This man deserves to be taken seriously. Kaido is very clear now. If he really defeated this Army Admiral here, then the status of One Piece must belong to him. There will be no wavering from now on. After a battle in the daytime, everyone knew Ron's strength. If he really did it by Kaido, the entire pirate world will make him king. Kaido's conquerors, Zone Devil Fruit's power, at this moment, all gathered on the mace. Kaido's body flying in midair suddenly accelerated, 0. The speed is extremely fast, only a crimson red can be seen, just like a red lightning in the night sky. Illuminate the night sky instantly, open the entire sky. Kaido holds mace in both hands, almost in the blink of an eye. He appeared in front of Ron, Ray, Wu, 8. Accompanied by a loud shout, as if the surrounding air had solidified. All the people present held their breath, including Kaido's head of the 3 plagues, Hate. He has followed Kaido for many years. I've seen Kaido use the Thunderous gossip trick many times. But I have never seen a Thunderous gossip as powerful as today. It was also the first time I saw Kaido explode with such a terrifying aura. Since Kai joined the Kaido Pirates, this was the only time he saw Kaido fighting with all his strength. Even as a member of Kaido's banner, Yan felt extremely murderous at this moment, tearing it towards his face. Just like the essence, it hurts to shave my face. Lord Kaido at this moment, it's just this momentum. It has far surpassed the 4 emperors in people's cognition. It seems that every 4 emperors is not simple, advertisement. Whether it is Aunt Charlotte Linlin, whether it is Kaido, the king of beasts. They are not as they appear on the surface, everyone hides hidden powers. The reason why it was not exposed was that they did not encounter a decent opponent, and it was worthy of them to use this power. Just like Charlotte Linlin, before the battle with Ron. No one knew that the awakening ability of her soul fruit was to devour the soul and strengthen her own power. Because there are too few people in this sea who can force her to use this power. And so is Kaido at this moment. With just this trick, Thunderous Gossip has been used countless times, and the power displayed at this moment is also chosen to surpass anyone. And what else is Kaido's hidden hole cards? This cigarette cannot be guessed at all. Garp standing on a warship, looking up at the two people in the air. Take a deep breath. This trick of Thunderous Gossip for 20 years, I don't know, Ron can't stop it. However, with the golden axe, there shouldn't be a big problem. After all, Ron hasn't used Wu Hockey before. And at the moment, Ron held the Tower of the God axe in one hand. I saw him bow slightly, and Rita lifted above his head. A posture of being chopped hard. Do not hide, face Kaido head on. Look at this posture. Rita must have used the magic axe to fight Thunder and Gossip. Everyone in the room fixed their eyes on Ron's hand, the axe. Even Kaido is no exception. HMPH, I admit that the axe is very powerful, but you have to be able to stop it. Kaido shouted. Thunder and Gossip came in a flash. He was in front of Ron. Boom, jow jow jow, the whole space was turbulent. It seems that some forces are intertwined. Kaido conquers is like a flood sluice, raging crazily. Crimson lightning radiated to the surroundings visible to the naked eye. This is exactly what Conqueror's Hockey produces, however. When everyone finally opened their eyes to look in the dazzling light. Can't help but open his mouth wide in astonishment. I saw Ron with one hand and abruptly grabbed the mace. The whole body only moved back by 1 point. Kaido was stunned. You are actually ready to pick it up with your hands, then what are you doing with the axe raised up? Wrong, etc. He actually caught Thunder and Gossip with his hands? Kaido finally eased from spitting out. This is my own trick, the first time I was caught with bare hands. Chapter 98, Auto-generated chapter title. 098. Ron. Kaido, what kind of king do you want to be? Subscription required. Ah, did you pick it up by hand? Even Garp has a black line on his face. After all, the action Ron just made was too much like taking an axe to fight. Unexpectedly, the last one is good at the next, but this is what made Garp feel surprised. Ron didn't have any armament hockey in his hands. In other words, he used the power of the flesh to force the next. This is too scary, right? It's hard to imagine that without hockey's defense, Kaido can be stopped by physical strength alone. Garp can be said to be a master of physical skills. Few people have better physical skills than him, but this also relies on his powerful armament hockey. If armament hockey is not used, just rely on physical strength to let him catch Kaido's trick. Garp also knew he couldn't do it. After all, his physical strength is not so pervert. Is this guy a monster? Physical fitness alone is already so strong, if this guy can still Conqueror's Hockey. Isn't that invincible? The body of this monster reminds Garp of Rocks decades ago. At that time, it was almost such a powerful pervert. But compared to this Ron, even the rocks, which can hardly be beaten, are not as good as that. Thinking of this, Garp took a breath. It's really the waves behind the Yangtze River pushing the waves forward. Unexpectedly, the power of the new generation has grown to this point. Fortunately, this guy is not a pirate. Garp couldn't imagine. 727. If Ron was not on their side, but a pirate, then this world is really messed up. Who can stop such a powerful pirate? Is it Sengoku? Impossible. Is it Kong? It's definitely not possible. As for the three Admiral have already lost to Ron. The guy Akainu lay in the hospital for several days, but Xingqiang couldn't even release the ice. Is it yourself? Garp shook his head, he was not so shameless. If facing a strong opponent like Roger or Whitebeard, Garp may not win, but he may not lose. But if you let him face Ron, Garp believes that he has held on to him for 5 minutes. Momosagi and Tashigi behind Garp have long been used to them. Kaido stared at Ron coldly, trying to use force to pull out the axe in his hand. But found him, no matter how hard. The mace in his hand seemed to be embedded in Ron's hand. Doesn't move at all. How can someone be so powerful? More powerful than his demon fruit power, etc. If he grabbed his mace with his hands, why would he raise his axe? Now, advertisement Kaido finally felt something was wrong. Because he found out. Ron held the axe in his hand, just above his head. Less than 1 meter away from yourself, in other words. The reason Ron grabbed his mace with his hand was to keep himself still. Then are you ready to chop yourself with this axe? Think of it here. Kaido's body tightened. I only felt cold behind my back. A murderous look lingered around his neck. For a moment, he felt that his neck didn't belong to him anymore. So cold. If you can't stay here, you will die. This thought suddenly popped into Kaido's mind. I can't care about other things now. Just loosen the mace. Using all his powerful swords, he flew backwards. Almost at the same time, the axe in Ron's hand fell. Very fast. Kaido has already used the strength of feeding to maximize his flying ability. But the moment he turned his head, after all, he still didn't escape Ron's axe. Snapped. Only a loud noise was heard, sharp axe. Nothing was blocked. Kaido's dragon horn snapped. Such a hard dragon horn was like cotton candy in front of him. This is his only dragon horn. The other dragon horn was also chopped off by Ron's axe just now. Kaido's head is now bald, and he doesn't have a dragon horn. But this is also thanks to his reaction in advance. Otherwise, it was not the dragon horn that broke just now, but his neck. The king of beasts. Kaido's complexion changed drastically. He was a magnificent king of beasts, and he was cut off by 2 horns. However, at this moment, Ron slowly raised his head, looked at Kaido, and said faintly, "Kaido, what kind of king are you? Very strong, BEFC, murderous intent." What a strong sense of oppression. Kaido didn't dare to look back. Get away from Ron at full speed. He didn't even care about the dragon horn that fell. Not even the mace. Like flying, go backwards, reach the fastest speed in lifetime. Now Kaido has only one thought in his mind, that is to run away from this man immediately. The farther away the better. Otherwise, the axe in his hand will chop off his head sooner or later. If it wasn't by myself, the reaction was quick. I'm afraid I'm already in a different place now. Advertisement. When he thinks of this, Kaido feels scared for a while. The speed of flight has also increased. Mother, what are you doing in a daze? Immediately, go to Marin and meet up with Whitebeard. Kaido ran back and shouted at the side in a daze. Kai has been taken aback by this scene. I was in a moment of sluggishness just now. Here Kaido spraying himself, this reacted immediately. Reach out and grab Ace, fly directly towards the sky. Like Kaido, never looking back, Kaido is not stupid. Judging from his various actions in occupying Wano Kuni at the beginning, Kaido is very scheming. At this moment, he has fully judged the situation on the battlefield. With his own strength, wanting to win Ron is nothing short of a dream. Although he still hides some whole cards, but an unsure battle. Kaido will never do it. It's better to join Whitebeard, and the 2 people work together to kill Ron. It is with this idea, Kaido flees like flying, directly into the form of a giant dragon. The dragon soars in the sky, a blue dragon and a pterodactyl. Both of them are flying very fast, but even so, after they fully stimulated the speed. Even if it has flown thousands of meters away, Kaido thought he would look back and see if Ron was chasing him. But suddenly found out, the position behind him has long since disappeared. 707. Kaido's expression changed. He suddenly turned his head and looked forward. Then, there was a sudden break in the air, because he found that Ron was right in front of them. How come you appear in front of us? Kaido frowned. Asked incredulously, because he hadn't seen when Ron flew past them just now. However, Ron did say indifferently, I already told you just now. When you find that I can fly, you should run away as soon as possible. Hear this sentence, Kaido can't help but regret it. I shouldn't have launched that attack. If I ran away at that time, there might be a chance. But now it's too late to say anything. Ron in front of him. Will not let them go. Chapter 99, auto-generated chapter title. 099. Bring Ace back to be executed. The procedure still has to go, seeking subscription. So fast. This is not the speed of flight at all. Garp didn't even see from the third perspective below, exactly how Ron moved in front of these 2 guys. Even with his combat experience, I think this thing is incredible. It's weird, even if there is a movement trajectory in flight. Why can he be so fast? Garp looked at Ron incredulously. Then he said to Momoshiki beside him, will he fly before? Momoshiki thought for a while, then he glanced at Tashigi. Shook their heads together. No, Chief Ron has never demonstrated this ability before. Momoshiki is still very confident in his answer. After all, she is one of the few people qualified to answer this matter. Because she and Ron spent the longest time together, and when they were chasing together just now. Ron was also upset because he couldn't fly. This is what happened less than 20 minutes ago. So for sure, Ron didn't fly before. Garp nodded and did not continue to ask. Ron is so mysterious, he always does something unexpected. Maybe this is his secret. There really are a lot of secrets in Ron. But this also relieved Garp. If Ron could really fly so fast, then it will be much faster to go back to support Ma Lin after a while. Otherwise, if they were allowed to take a boat back to support, I'm afraid it would be too late there. In this case, Garp didn't worry anymore. Instead, he quietly watched Ron fight. As long as this one ends. With Ron's flying speed, I am afraid it was only a momentary thing to support Marineford. Garp has already heard from the tone of the staff member Crane. The situation over there is certainly not optimistic. Otherwise, Sengoku, who has always been mainly in the back, will not end easily. Now it's Marshal Sengoku's turn. It can be seen that the situation there has become tense. In fact, they are still at least 20 minutes away from Marineford. At first, Garp was still worried. How should he rush back after solving Kaido? Only 20 minutes is too tense for that kind of situation. In the air, Kaido was suddenly stopped by Ron. Now and Garp's mentality are completely at 2 extremes. Follow Ron's flight speed. I'm afraid they want to get rid of this place and return to Marin, and the idea of meeting Whitebeard has been lost. Mom, the soldiers are divided into 2 ways, Kaido said in a deep voice. Both he and Yan have the ability to fly. If you don't separate at this time, I'm afraid Ron will be completely restrained. The most important thing now is to meet Whitebeard immediately. With the strength of both of them, there's a way to deal with Ron. If it is before today, Kaido doesn't believe that there will be 4 emperors in the world who can work together to deal with it. Advertisement, but now, this person is right in front of you. This makes Kaido have to believe, and if it is replaced by the previous Whitebeard Kaido, I don't even believe that he and Whitebeard can work together against Ron. But, not long ago, he saw with his own eyes how Whitebeard recovered from his injury and returned to peak form. If it is now Whitebeard, the two of them joined forces. It shouldn't be a problem with Ron. Yan heard Kaido's order. I also naturally know Kaido's thoughts. Turn the direction directly without hesitation at the moment. Speeding to the Marine headquarters, he was still holding Ace in his hands. This is the bargaining chip with Whitebeard. Let Whitebeard immediately change direction and come over to support Kaido. The flying speed of pterosaurs is also extremely fast. And now Ron is facing Kaido. Kai thought he had great hope and flew to Marineford. So don't hesitate, the wings fluttered suddenly. Exhausted all his energy. Speeding over there. Wait a minute, I don't seem to let you go. However, at this moment, suddenly a figure appeared on his head. Smoke couldn't help but trembled in his heart. Oops. Why did this guy come and chase me? Kai doesn't even need to look up, it's just this unique sense of oppression. Who else besides that man? It's impolite to leave without saying hello. Yan heard the person above her suddenly say. Then I felt a hot sensation in the back, suddenly raised his head. But he found a huge fiery ball of fire appeared above him. The whole sky was illuminated brightly, and that man holding a giant axe. Just step on this huge fireball, look down at yourself. Not good, the smoke felt like being enveloped by death. As if being watched by death. What are you doing in a daze? Quickly put me down, at this moment, Ace said suddenly. Suddenly awakened, without hesitation at the moment. At this time, there is only Ace's ability, can you resist it a little? Kai knows that with rich combat experience, this hot ball of fire on his head, if the damage is all eaten up by himself. That will definitely die, if it can make Ace resist part of the damage. I'm afraid there's a chance. I saw that Ace directly covered the flames on his mother without hesitation. For flowers. Karma, Bodhidharma. This flame can help you withstand the temperature temporarily. Don't hesitate, get out of here quickly, even through his fireball. Advertisement Ace's expression is very serious, he has covered the special abilities of Mera fruit. At this moment, even if the flame is burning all over the body. I didn't feel the pain either, and the race that burns is also a fire control race. Under the dual talent blessing of Ace and Yan, Smoke no longer hesitated. Continued to rush out to the front, just shook his head lightly and did not continue to speak. The fireball stepped on the foot instantly appeared on the burning head. No matter how fast he flies, Ron can maintain the same speed. Damn it, can't get rid of him at all, gritting his teeth. However, just when he whispered to himself, Ron on his head kicked the fireball lightly. Boom! This huge fireball, like a mountain, hit it directly. Almost an Ace are all covered in an instant, then he took the two directly to the bottom of the sea. Boom! The entire sea surface instantly transpired. The huge fireball took the two of them all the way down. And Ron just faced the bottom and held his palm in the void. Almost at the same time, the huge fireball that sank to the bottom of the sea exploded directly. There was a boom, the terrifying heat, released in an instant. Burst, instantly evaporate the sea in that area. A large vacant lot is directly exposed, and hate. At this moment, it has already been reduced to ashes by this scorching high temperature. And under this evaporating seabed, a figure unexpectedly stood up slowly. It is Ace. Can it still withstand this high temperature? It seems that Mera fruit is not such a waste. Ron dived below. He rushed towards that figure. Ace just stood up, ready to launch an attack. Suddenly one meets each other. A figure flashed by in front of him. Ace fainted directly on the ground. Ron shook his head. Pick up Ace in one hand, then he threw it on Garp's boat. The procedure still has to go. Send him to Marin in a while and execute his sentence on time. Ron's voice was indifferent. Look into the air, now. There is only Kaido in the whole sky, so he should be the next one. Chapter 100. Auto-generated chapter title, 100. Want to kill Ron? Do you still use a protracted battle? This is over? Garp looked at Ace who was thrown in front of him. I have mixed feelings in my heart. As Garp is Marine, Ace is just a heinous pirate. He is also a member of the 4 Emperors Whitebeard Pirate group. But as Ace's grandfather, Garp is heartbroken now. Ace is also his family. Same as Luffy. The Ron guy clearly saw this. Do you want to throw Ace on his boat? Is this testing the old man? Garp couldn't help but shook his head. The Ace in front of him was seriously injured at this moment. The whole body is covered with burns. If it weren't for his Mera fruit, it would be dead. It seems that Ron's temperature is really terrifying. Master. Ace coughed twice. He now knew that struggling was useless. There are some lucky elements in my own, 730, in order to survive the blow just now. Still looking back at the huge hole in the sea. The surrounding sea water is pouring into it. Could not help taking a deep breath. Ace, do you know how much trouble you have caused this world? Garp shook his head. Sit next to Ace. Ace was lying on the deck at this moment. The injury on his body was too serious to support him to stand up again. Father, cough cough, although the matter has come to this point, this is the path I chose by myself. I don't regret it, but I don't know where you got such a helper. This strength makes people desperate. Ace shook his head. Garp sighed and said, since Sengoku invited him from the army, your failure has actually been doomed. Is it from the army? No wonder, I haven't seen this person before. Maybe this is the last talk. The old one and the little two guys. On the deck, each with his own mind, saying goodbye to each other. And above the sky, Kaido has given up hope of escape. At Ron's speed, far beyond yourself, it is absolutely impossible to escape in the air. As for escaping in the sea, advertisement that's absolutely nothing. Because Ron is not demon fruit power at all, he is not afraid of seawater at all. Even if he enters the sea, he can still catch up. That being the case, it's better to fight with all your strength. Using his best hole cards, he may not lose to him. Although Kaido had this idea, he didn't have much confidence in his heart. But Kaido can fight a protracted battle, relying on his own devil fruit to awaken the ability. Relying on the terrible healing power, the powerful body. Even if it is procrastinated, Ron will be procrastinated to death. Ron killed all his 3 plagues. If you go back like this, wouldn't it be too shameless? Just before, he taunted the ant pirates. The whole country tried to attack Ron, but none of them came back. Did not expect, now it fell on myself so quickly. Why, don't you run away? Ron slowly lifted off. Came in front of Kaido, still the expressionless look, said lightly. Kaido is ready this time, ready to fight to the death. So, the momentum has risen again. Huh, don't talk so full for now. You have gone through 2 wars in a row today. If I'm not wrong, you returned to the submarine prison non-stop after the decisive battle with Charlotte Linlin at noon. Although the gang of pirates in the prison were not very strong, but after a lot of exhaustion, you also took a lot of physical effort. Barbar? Kaido's smile is getting colder and colder. Then you entangled with me for so long. If I expected it, you probably didn't have a good rest halfway through. One person has been fighting for a day, how long can you hold on? You should be the end of the crossbow now, right? But I just entered the state just now. Kaido's eyes were torch. His body soared. He even took out the wine gourd from his arms and drank it all in one go. He is ready to fight for a long time. It is impossible for a person to have unlimited physical strength. Ron, this guy has been fighting for so long, it is impossible to consume nothing at all. Even if it is their 4 emperors, it is impossible to fight for a day without getting tired. Whether it is mental exhaustion or physical exhaustion, it takes a long time to rest. But Ron hardly rested this day. Advertisement, but I only came here after I had recharged my energy. The difference in physical strength between the two. It's obvious without thinking. Not to mention, the opponent is just an ordinary human. And he is a devil fruit awakening ability person. In terms of physical strength, it is much higher than the other side. This is why Kaido dared to stay and fight attrition with Ron. If the front time is stretched long enough, he was sure to drag Ron to death. I heard Kaido say that. Even Garp below was awakened suddenly. Then I remembered, because Ron's appearance was so explosive that all of them ignored a problem. A very serious problem. That is, Ron played from noon to night, and basically didn't rest much. What's more, they were fighting against the 4 emperors and the vicious group of pirates in the prison. No matter how strong it is, it will not be particularly easy to deal with them. The physical exertion must be huge. There is also a high degree of tension. If it lasts for a day, but any normal person can stand it. Kaido is really mean. It turned out that he had planned. He discovered Ron exactly. Garp thought that Ron would have to fight Whitebeard for a while. Now, Ron must not be overstretched anymore. He must get adequate rest. No matter how powerful people are, they will collapse if they drag on like this. If Kaido consumes 5.2 points of physical and mental power here, the next battle will probably be even worse. After all, Ron is a human being, not a god. People will be tired. Think of it here. Garp said immediately. Ron, come down and rest. Kaido, this guy will be solved by the old man. Don't get caught up in a protracted battle with him. Zone Demon Fruit has strong endurance. Kaido intends to drag you until you can't hold on. Garp thought that after he had finished speaking, Ron would agree. Did not expect, Ron just said lightly. Who said he was going to fight a protracted battle? It's over soon. Chapter 101, Auto-generated chapter title. 101. Ron has been fighting for a day, won't he be tired? I heard Ron say that. Garp was taken aback for a moment. This time is not the time to be aggressive. You first come down and rest. Replace me. Kaido, this guy will solve the same problem with the old man. Although Garp is old, but it's not too helpless to face Kaido. The name of the marine hero is not for nothing. In the entire marine, if anyone has the strongest combat effectiveness. It is estimated that the 3 Admiral will have to take a humble look at Garp first. Ron had indeed been fighting for a long time. After all, Garp is a man who has fought for decades. He understands very well. No matter how strong it is impossible to continue high-intensity combat for a long time. Every battle Ron fought was basically a high-intensity battle. Although it looks very relaxed on the surface, but Garp knows, it can't be that easy. That's why she chose to replace Ron at this time. Garp was secretly annoyed. Why didn't I find this problem early? In this way, 14 can save Ron a lot of energy. Maybe he has gone to support Marineford now. Ron killed Kai and Quinn in succession just now, and released so many skills. Also eaten several Kaido skills. To know, even if they are demon fruit power. If you use a big move once or twice, you will face a lot of physical exertion. Even Luffy, who is like a monster, will enter a state of weakness after using the 4th gear. The same is true. Ron used so many fireballs like the sun, how could he not consume a little energy? Garp frowned. After all, Ron's fireball is so powerful. This must be Ron's ultimate skill. However, Ron shook his head and ignored Garp. Garp's old face went dark. Very speechless. Is this guy Ron planning to fight for 24 hours? Is this enough? And this Kaido is not the ultimate goal, you have to know that there is a Whitebeard behind. If playing Kaido consumes all your physical and mental energy, what should you do if you face Whitebeard? Marine probably can only rely on you now, Garp reminded again. Ron, don't forget, there are many Marlins and Whitebeard. That is the ultimate goal. Advertisement don't have too much physical exertion before facing Whitebeard. However, what Garp didn't expect was, Ron still ignored him. Although Garp is really speechless, young people love to do what they can. Garp sighed secretly. Kaido's expression became richer. He gave a very smug smile. I was still worried just now. I'm worried that you guy will really trade with the old man Garp. At that time, I'll be in trouble. Let you guys get out of here, then my face will be lost. I didn't expect you guy. Ha ha ha, Kaido laughed out loud. Since Ron chose to stay here, that's the best, for someone who has been fighting continuously for nearly 12 hours. Kaido doesn't mind continuing to consume him. Anyway, he himself is now in a heyday, full of energy. Even 10 days and 10 nights will not be a problem. But Ron is different. He has used so many large-scale skills continuously. How can it not consume energy? It's like making him Kaido wave thundering gossip 100 times in a row. Even Kaido can't stand it. Continuous use of skills like this is very tiring. Even if Kaido is given a day, let him play thunder and gossip 100 times in a row. Kaido will vomit. It's like asking a Kainu to send 100 meteor volcano to the sky. A Kainu can't stand it either. I'm probably exhausted a long time ago. In other words, let Luffy open 4 gears 100 times in a day. Presumably Luffy would roll his eyes, and this day Ron. Although there is no such exaggeration 100 times. But I have used the fireball that is as hot as the sun a dozen times in a row. This will definitely consume a lot of physical energy. Kaido is still in dragon form at the moment, hovering in the sky. He is much larger than Ron, it's really a dragon. This head alone is already bigger than Ron. Where are you confident? I think it will take a long time for me to deal with you. Ron shook his head, then the whole body quickly took off. Advertisement it seems. You don't know how difficult the strongest creature is. Do you still want to be able to quickly resolve the failure of the battle? You think of the 4 emperors too simple. Kaido's words are not finished yet. It felt like Ron in front of him suddenly disappeared. Just disappeared out of thin air in front of him. This made Kaido's expression change. Immediately I felt that something was holding my tail heavily. Not good. Zero Kaido had a bad feeling in his heart spontaneously. Turned his head immediately. Sure enough, it was Ron who caught its tail. When? Kaido didn't even notice when Ron moved behind him. Just wanted to break free. Suddenly, he found that a huge force pulled himself back directly. I saw Ron touching its tail as if using a whip, wave 730 in the air. Then thrown heavily on the sea. The whole sea was disturbed so that the sea was flying up and down. Kaido was like a whip in Ron's hand. Ron grabbed it in his hand and beat it left and right. Happiness. Kaido just feels dizzy, although his body is sturdy. But Ron's strength is too great, coupled with this irregular whipping. Directly led Kaido Wild Venus, transformed into the most powerful human beast mode. The tail finally broke free. Damn it, what do you think of lousy? Kaido was furious, directly lift the beast form. Ron's attack just now humiliated him too much, suddenly reduced in size. Thank you for reading this story at mtlarchive.com. Your support enables us to keep the site running. Very fast. It fell directly facing Ron's head. Kaido wraps around the fists of Armament Haki and conquers Haki double Haki. At this moment, Kaido has been shot out of anger. The anger has been piled up to ultimate. Go to hell, Ron. Then reverse direction. Chapter 102, auto-generated chapter title. 102. Oops oops, Kaido, did your money fall? Classic scene. Kaido moved quickly to Ron. Put your hands together and make a fist. It hit Ron directly. This is a pure physical force attack. Kaido uses the 2-color Haki plus body. First came Armament Haki. Then, Conqueror's Haki flows in the outermost layer. This fighting technique, it is Kaido's ultimate killer copper. Its own armed color emission is already powerful enough. Kaido has innovated even more advanced usage methods this time. Under the appearance of emission, another layer of Conqueror's Haki is attached. This is much higher than the skill of using Thunder Gossip, 0. Kaido's huge body, his arms swelled, suddenly appeared in front of Ron, the power of his entire body gathered on his arms. Give a loud shout. Afterwards, he slammed Ron's head suddenly. Yo! There was a loud noise, although the two were hanging in the air. But the shock wave caused by the hit just now passed directly through the air under the feet of the two to the surface of the sea below. Suddenly, the entire sea surface exploded directly. The whole sea was as if it were down, and a nuclear bomb was lost. With a bang, set off a mushroom cloud hundreds of meters high. No, it should be said that it is a mushroom wave. The entire sea couldn't help shaking up. Even Garp's ship was almost overturned. It can be seen how big the impact of this blow is. The mushroom wave hundreds of meters high lasted for a while before it dissipated. Splashes are watered down, flowed down the body of the two. At this moment, Kaido's fist was hitting Ron's head. Garp frowned. Unexpectedly, this kid Kaido has not seen him in more than 10 years, and his strength has improved a lot. However, with such a strong blow, that guy Ron actually hit it hard? In close combat, Garp can be an expert. Almost no one knows melee combat better than him. The fighting skills Kaido used just now has basically reached the peak of conquerors in armament hockey. It is the highest level of this two-color hockey coordination. You can rely on the flow of hockey to destroy the enemy from within. Even if Garp faced this kind of attack, he would not choose to hardwire it. Advertisement, but if this guy even hockey is useless. Did not hide. This made Garp feel a little surprised. How do you feel that Ron's physical strength has risen by one more point? Kaido is even more dazed. He never expected that he would attack so powerfully. It didn't work at all, if it weren't for the splashes flying below and the deep-sea vortex caused by the shockwave visible to the naked eye. Kaido thought his attack was useless. Hockey, how can this be? Are you all right? Kaido frowned, however, suddenly realized that Ron looked up at him. Ron stretched out a hand and gently moved Kaido's hand away from his head. Ron's movements are very slow, it seems effortless. Kaido found out, the strength of his own hands couldn't even protect Ron's hand. However, this is not over yet. Ron moved away Kaido's hand with one hand. And the other hand, he clenched his fist and smashed his head against Kaido. At this moment, it is too late for Kaido to hide. The distance is too close, watching Ron's fist grow bigger and bigger in his pupils. Kaido has a bad feeling. Just now he was playing Ron in this position. And now, Ron smashed at himself in the same posture. Kaido was heartbroken. Immediately focus all hockey on the head. Centralize all defense methods. He didn't believe it. Luo Neng could withstand his blow just now. Can't it be carried by myself? How can this be? It is the strongest creature. Kaido's entire head is covered with layers of black armament hockey. Boom. Ron's hands looked so unpretentious, with no special effects at all. Neither hockey flows layer by layer, and there is no such high-end two-color hockey of Kaido, which can cooperate with each other. It was so direct, relying on the strength of the body, it hit Kaido's head. Boom. It was louder than before, it came suddenly. It's where Ron's palm touches Kaido's head. Advertisement. A huge shockwave, in the form visible to the naked eye, expanded rapidly from a small circle. Kaido's fully defensive body. I was beaten directly and bent over. The towering head also dropped. Boom. The shockwave passed through Kaido's head, through the air. Directly facing the sea under the feet of the two of them, the mask went down. A louder sound than before, it shook almost the entire surface of the sea trembling. Moment. The whole sea is divided into two in the middle. The ground of the seabed is directly exposed. Ron's knife. Almost half of the sea surface in the field of vision was kicked away. This power is not known how much greater than the mushroom cloud just now. Look at Kaido at this moment, it was like bending over to bow to Ron. The whole head is lowered. Kaido was beaten up. I only felt dizzy in my brain, and even my eyes were psychedelic. There are triple shadows in seeing things. You must know that you have been fully defensive. That armament hockey, as if he didn't need money, was concentrated on his head to defend himself. Even so, Ron's attack just now, he didn't even stop it. Kaido even felt his skull shattered. No more, and even in such a plain tone, it was humiliated. Obviously, he used his full force to attack Ron's head just now, and the other party has done nothing. If it weren't for him, Zone's terrible recovery ability. At this time, the effect is that he almost died. Thank you for reading this story at mtlarchive.com. Your support enables us to keep the site running. Unexpectedly, because he couldn't bear Ron's attack, he was beaten to bow his head. From his current perspective, he could see the sea divided into two below. Kaido was about to stare out. Oh, Kaido, did your money fall? Ron was almost d off, as soon as this remark came out. It turned out to be humiliated, but now, in turn, is being attacked in the same way. Kaido, who was a little dizzy at the moment, Zhao Hao, didn't even have time to raise his head. Kaido guessed that he was already going underground to meet the ant. Ron said suddenly, Chapter 103, Auto-generated chapter title. 103. Don't die in front of me from the lake, the king of beasts, Kaido. Kaido was furious on the spot. Don't care about the pain all over the body. Forcibly endure the dizziness brought by the brain. He didn't care that his eyes were dim. Just force yourself to stand up. Looking directly at Ron, gritted his teeth and said, I can't spare you today. Kaido finished, directly facing Ron in the form of a half-orc rushed over. Regardless of physical exertion, regardless of hockey's consumption, there is only one belief in Kaido's mind now. That was the man in front of him. Never let him live and leave here. Otherwise, I will never look up in front of him. Up to now, Kaido remembered Ron's words in his mind. Oops, Kaido, did your money fall? Any normal person can't bear this kind of insult. Kaido half-human form, all kinds of haki are covered on the body without reservation. To Ron, it was a fierce attack, the aftermath of the confrontation between the two. And the shock caused by the collision of the two. 730 caused a violent storm on the entire sea. Every collision can bring the agitation of the sea. Can set off waves hundreds of meters high. This is the result of the two flying in midair. The intensity of this attack can be imagined. Garp didn't want his boat to be sunk by the aftermath of the two. Already left here early, pulled a safe distance. Kaido deserves to be the awakener of Zone Devil Fruit ability. This strong body, coupled with terrifying recovery ability. He was able to play a few tricks with Ron. It seems that 87% of the state, the ability to redeem 1 hour's goal, so 1% is deducted first, it is still not enough. Ron muttered to himself. With this level of template progress, there is no way to kill Kaido instantly. For this Zone Demon Fruit Awakener, as long as you can't kill him in seconds. Then, he can recover as quickly as possible from any serious injury. In this kind of protracted war, there is almost immortality. Advertisement. This is also the scary place of Zone Devil Fruit. It may be weak in the early stage, but particularly strong in the later stage. Especially, BEFC, for some people who are already good at close combat. Kaido is such a person. Garp watched the game below. Watching this fierce battle, can't help but sigh. Dao Mian on the side asked with some worry. Mr. Garp, what is going on here? How'd I feel that the two have been fighting for a long time? There is no obvious advantage. Because at this moment the two are caught in close combat. Although Ron's injury to Kaido was severe, but Kaido can recover for almost a few breaths. This terrifying speed of recovery is really incredible. So it gives outsiders a feeling that the two are on par. The battle was deadlocked. Garp shook his head and said. Kaido can't beat Ron, but he dragged Ron. That's not good. I don't know how Marin played against Whitebeard on the battlefield. I hope nothing will happen, hold on. Even if Garp rushes back at full speed now, it will take more than 20 minutes. Even if I go back, it's too late. It's really troublesome. Ron's expression was slightly impatient. He has had enough of Zone Devil Fruit's terrifying resilience. Respond to me, Rita. Ron stretched out his hand and moved with one hand. This kind of combined combat is really inefficient. If you want to rely on this kind of battle to solve Kaido, it will take at least 1 minute. But Ron obviously didn't want to wait so long anymore. Artifact, liberation. Ron shouted loudly. Then, Rita of God Axe burst out with a scorching light. The main function of this artifact is to store magic power and release magic power. So his attack has almost no upper limit, it all depends on how much you can store. Ron has been using this axe for a day. On this day, he was almost fighting, and the axe was basically carried with him. Whenever there is free time, Ron's magic power will be continuously stored in the God Axe Rita. And with the liberation of this artifact, the God Axe Rita that has stored magic power for a day instantly became golden light, circles of hot energy radiated from it. This is to store all of Ron's magic power for a day in it, and at this moment, release him. Kaido frowned, picked up the mace. At this moment, he has red eyes. Advertisement saw Ron picking up a weapon, he did not give in at all. Also picked up the mace casually. Subsequently, attached conquerors to the mace. Thunder Gossip. Using the power of the whole body again, he held it directly to Ron. At the same time, Ron was already a little impatient. Raise the God Axe Rita directly with one hand. Unleash the magic of this day in an instant. Then from top to bottom, he cut directly at Kaido. The mace and the tower of the God Axe are intertwined directly in midair. Blazing light. Meet the red and black conquerors. Air collision. Once again, light up the entire sky. But this time, Kaido's mace never blocked the tower of the God Axe again. With a snap, the whole mace is divided into two. Axe Rita, who has accumulated magic power for a day. The power released at this moment, it's unstoppable at all. The whole mace shattered directly at the sound, in Kaido's horrified eyes. God Axe Rita, from top to bottom, cut Kaido directly from the middle. The aftermath of the slashing attack played by the God Axe. Even, directly divide the entire sea into two, blazing temperature. Attached to the slash, the surface of the sea that passed by suddenly became hot, emitting steaming water vapor, and this time, Kaido never had a chance to recover. The wound he was slashed through directly burned with fierce flames. What? Ron? Kaido only had time to shout at the end. However, the sound is getting smaller and smaller. Then, the whole body burned violently, one of the 4 emperors, the king of beasts. Kaido, the strongest creature, died. Chapter 104, Auto-generated chapter title. 104. Obtain the skill to summon the noon sun, join the battle on the top, seeking subscription. Congratulations to host for successfully killing the smoke and getting 0.6% progress in the Crime of Pride template. Congratulations to host for successfully killing Kaido and getting 3% progress in the Crime of Pride template. The current template progress is 90.6%. Congratulations, the progress of the host template has exceeded 90%, and the ultimate skill is currently unlocked. Congratulations to the host for acquiring the ultimate skill summoning the Noon Sun. Noon Sun. You can force the Noon Sun to be summoned at any time and any place, so as to obtain the strongest power continuously. It can be used once a day for 2 hours each time. Under the Noon Sun, the all-round physical attributes of host are increased by 100%. You can use the world without consuming health, so I am the only one, Ultimate Edition. Host is 100% away from the crime of arrogance template, only 9.4% short of it. Ron watched as Kaido was burning in the air. Unexpectedly, one of the 4 emperors, this time, only provided myself with 3% template progress. It seems that the more difficult it gets later, the speed of template promotion is getting slower and slower. Also kill of 4 emperors, Kaido is even half of the ants. It can be seen that the higher the later stage, the greater the cost of improving the template progress. Kaido died, there is no need to stay here for a long time. Ron didn't bother to continue watching Kaido, which was burning. Put away the God Axe Tower, then he jumped directly and jumped onto Garp's boat. Then he sat down. Daomian, go get me something to eat. Ron said directly to Momosagi, who was standing silly on the side. At this moment, Momosagi was stunned in shock. Ron's fight just now was really too shocking. Not long ago, they were still discussing how long the battle between the two would last. After all, look at Kaido's pervert's recovery ability. If you really want to fight a war of procrastination, there's really nothing you can do with him. But never expected, they just finished discussing. This guy Ron took out his axe and Kaido. This is too exaggerated, right? No wonder Ron said that there is no need to fight a protracted battle against Kaido. That's it, sure enough, there is no need to fight a protracted battle. This axe was killed. Momosagi nodded immediately in response. Then he went to prepare food for Ron. In fact, Ron was really hungry. Sure enough, fighting for a long time still consumes a lot of the body. Simply add, advertisement, it's time to solve Whitebeard this guy. I believe that after killing Whitebeard, there are so many pirates there. Adding them all together, how can you make up 100% template progress, right? Ron has a feeling, it feels as if oneself is in the same town. I always feel that there is something more powerful in the entire pirate world. The 4 emperors may not be the pinnacle of combat power on this pirate. Ron felt terrible eyes, staring at him somewhere. So it must be unlocked to 100% as soon as possible. In this way, Ace Kano's power is fully utilized, and the overall strength will rise a few points. For example, if he can play 100% of his power now, then you don't have to rely on the magical power of the God Axe Tower to cut Kaido directly. I am afraid that a holy sword, Ace Kano, can hack Kaido to death. And when it reaches 100% template progress, you can start the next template. Through the template ability to exchange gold this time, Ron discovered one thing. That is, the capabilities between different templates can be used together. For example, this time he borrowed Jin's flying ability, but at the same time he was able to use the power of Ace Kano. Ron, what is your ability? Why can it emit a flame hotter than me? Kaido is dead. Ace didn't feel anything, on the contrary. His interest in Ron was even greater. This guy has far surpassed himself in flames. What is the ability? Since Ron said he was not Devil Fruit ability, then is it racial it? Heard what race can issue such a hot light? Ron glanced at Ace. Said lightly, Sun hiss, still sucked in a cold breath. Even if he exhausted his imagination, he didn't think about the sun. Because this is too exaggerated, is it really the heat of the sun? No wonder it can be so hot, this guy, for flowers. Garp also walked over and sat across from Ron, said. How is it? Do you still have the strength to continue fighting? Advertisement, Marineford may not last long, I'm afraid I will have to use your ability to fly back. Garp looked sad, although the battlefield here is victorious. But the bigger enemy is still waiting for them, the strength of Whitebeard. It's not Kaido, it's comparable, and I got an important news just now. It is Whitebeard who has regained his peak strength 30 years ago. And it's still unharmed. This is very scary, maybe only Ron is his opponent. Wait for me to have some food, then go to get rid of Whitebeard. Ron just said lightly, although this sentence sounds arrogant. Go to get rid of the strongest man in the world after eating. If this sentence comes out of someone else's mouth. Well, Garp thinks the other party is bragging at best. But if this sentence came out of Ron's mouth, Garp suddenly felt relieved. There is some sense of security in this statement. As if as long as Ron said that, then there is no problem. Ron's ability to exchange gold still has more than half an hour left. There are many flying to Marin, and it won't take long. 9 more. Thank you for reading this story at mtlarchive.com. Your support enables us to keep the site running. It's just that Ron is really late now. This time I ate a full serving of 10 people. After eating, in the horrified eyes of Garp and Momosagi and Ace, this huge marine warship became familiar directly. War on top. Today's condition is really bad. It's snowing and I have a cold. First update 9 chapters, oh 1 more, and make up tomorrow. I finished the meal prepared by Momosagi, soon. Almost instantly, this warship used the magic of the sin of sloth, float. Above the sky, galloped toward Ma Lin at a very fast speed. Ron is here, Chapter 105, auto-generated chapter title. 105. Desperate? Give up unrealistic fantasies now. Many in Marin. The battle between the two sides has entered a fever pitch. Headed by the Whitebeard Pirates, Kaido Pirates as a supplement. Gather the forces of the two legions. A violent charge was launched against the Marine soldiers with many assistants, Marin. The overall strength of the middle and lower levels of Marine is actually far inferior to that of four emperors. The two are not a fighting level at all. Marine is almost at a speed visible to the naked eye. Is being rout. The most terrifying thing belongs to the man standing among them. He throws a punch every time, can make the entire battlefield torn apart. All these hidden layouts of Marine can be made, and those secret whistles all collapsed. Now even the headquarters building has collapsed in half. This man makes an earthquake every time. Both can cause great damage to Marine. And the three major forces that the 7030 army is most proud of. At this moment, he couldn't concentrate on attacking Whitebeard. Aokiji and Kizaru have been dragged. In addition, this guy Kizaru has serious traces of fishing. So, only Akainu was responsible for stopping Whitebeard. But Whitebeard in this state, obviously, Akainu can't stop it. Whitebeard has the peak strength 30 years ago and is harmless. Has far surpassed the current strength of the four emperors. Enough to compare with One Piece. It is precisely because no one in the audience can stop Whitebeard. 0. Therefore, Marine's overall combat situation became weaker and weaker. Only then had to force Sengoku to end in person, at this moment, in the middle of the entire battlefield. A big golden Buddha. A Whitebeard man with a long knife in his hand. The two have fought back and forth for several rounds. Goo la 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 la, Sengoku, do you like this surprise first gave Marine? Whitebeard laughed. Sengoku frowned, his face went dark. The expression was very unhappy, still the entire battlefield. The entire Marineford has been almost destroyed. The trickiest thing is these small fruit abilities of Beast's pirates. Advertisement their combat effectiveness is too strong. And the number is huge, it is almost a crushing level of Marine force. Plus the terrible 6 volleys, enough to match the strength of Marine Vice Admiral. The captains on Whitebeard's side are all responsible for containing Aokiji and Huang Yuan. Akainu has been severely injured by Whitebeard. If the situation of any battle continues to expand like this, I am afraid that the advantages of the Whitebeard Pirates will become more and more obvious. The situation on Marine's side will become less and less optimistic. I don't know what happened to Ron. Has Kaido been solved? When can Ron come back here, if it drags on any longer? I'm afraid I can't hold on, if it was 30 years ago. He really wasn't afraid of Whitebeard, but time has finally brought certain drawbacks to their strength. No one is as strong as the peak period, but what they didn't expect was that Whitebeard had recovered to his peak alone. At this moment, facing Whitebeard, there really is a sense of despair that is beyond your ability. And these Marine soldiers who had just been boosted by morale also found out. Their marshal's personal departure did not bring about a good reversal of the situation. At the moment, things became uncontrollable downturn again. Moreover, Sengoku faced Whitebeard's successive attacks, obviously, he couldn't resist. This golden Buddha, the steps under my feet are retreating again and again. He didn't stop Whitebeard. Goo la 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 la, it's a long-lost sense of power. Let Whitebeard rediscover the feeling of fighting at his peak. Now, Whitebeard picked up his hands again. Suddenly, the muscles on both arms burst. Next moment, smashed into the air very hard, in an instant. The entire space cracked again, revealing continuous fine lines. Sengoku, the Buddha, more than 10 meters away, the body was twisted out of thin air. Suddenly, a mouthful of blood came out of his mouth. It turns out that Whitebeard just attacked him in the array space. Sengoku coughed twice, shaking his abdomen vigorously. Advertisement even with the body of the Buddha Sengoku cannot withstand the power of the earthquake. The power of nature that destroys the world is like a natural disaster. Sengoku has been fighting Whitebeard long enough. But under this heavy blow, it became the last straw that crushed the camel. The status of Sengoku's great Buddha was immediately lifted. The body changed back to its original appearance. I couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of blood. He can detect it. A few more ribs broke. This Whitebeard's shock fruit has awakened. Really, the vibration can be transmitted to any place. Through the short fight just now, Sengoku understands. He is definitely not the opponent of peak Whitebeard. Whitebeard in this state is too strong, in order not to affect morale. Sengoku still gritted his teeth, stand up straight. Staring coldly at Whitebeard, he said, stop dreaming, Edward Newgate. Whitebeard. Sengoku, I know what you were waiting for. But do you really think that guy can come as soon as he can? Kaido, even if this kid is useless, he can still hold him for at least an hour. So you don't have these unrealistic fantasies. Whitebeard's eyes were torch, and he said coldly. Sengoku then snorted coldly. That may be true. Whitebeard looked up to the sky and laughed. Wow, la 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 la, there is no chance to spread the news. Is Ron really not as strong at night as during the day? Sengoku frowned. I don't think you know yet, do you? There would be no such idea. Now let me tell you a secret. He didn't expect the other party to understand so clearly. Thank you for reading this story at mtlarchive.com. Your support enables us to keep the site running. Blame Kaido for dying so fast. One more, your Admiral Ron. Actually, although he was strong during the day, he was nothing after 5.2 at night. If Whitebeard is better informed now, even an ordinary pirate, it can kill him. This makes Sengoku feel a little frustrated. In fact, there have been speculations on this point. It seems that Whitebeard has figured out Ron's weakness, so he came so confidently. Chapter 106, Auto-generated chapter title, 106. Ron can't come. Look up and see who is on the warship, seeking subscription. What? Didn't you hear Whitebeard talking just now? He just said that Ron Admiral will become weak at night, is this true? It's not good. Seeing that the Marshal didn't refute, could it be true? How can this be done? If this is the case, do we still have hope? The offense on the opposite side is too strong, and I can hardly resist it anymore. They are not afraid of guns at all. Even if so many people on our side shoot, it is useless, and they can't stop their attack. These Marine soldiers were already demoralized. Seeing the defeat of Marshal Sengoku, the morale of the person who had just ascended became low. Now their only hope. Just waiting for Ron Admiral to come and support them. This is also the motivation for most Marine soldiers to persevere desperately. They watched the live broadcast of the battle during the day. Ron Admiral's strength has been deeply imprinted in their hearts. This also gave them the confidence and courage not to fear the four emperors. Because they 14 knew, even if Whitebeard comes to attack. Well, as long as Ron Admiral is here, one enemy can be 100, no, one enemy is 10,000. With Ron Admiral, one person can deal with the posture of the Ant Pirates. Then it shouldn't be a problem to deal with the Whitebeard Pirates. All Marine soldiers think so, but, unexpectedly, he suddenly heard the news from Whitebeard's mouth at this moment. This made their hearts feel nervous. The last glimmer of hope seemed to be shattered. Can say this from the strongest man in the world. This is enough to prove that it must be justified. Is Ron Admiral really bad at night? It's early morning now. It's the latest night. If Ron Admiral really doesn't work, then who can stop Whitebeard at this time? Do they still have any hope of victory, facing such vicious pirates? Is there really any hope of victory? The collapse of a person's beliefs is a momentary matter. Whitebeard's words. In an instant, these Marines who are still struggling to persevere because of this glimmer of hope in the bottom of their hearts. Instantly discouraged, the combat effectiveness plummeted. What I fear most is this long night without a trace of dawn. Such persistence, it will make people desperate. However, the opposite is true. The morale of the pirates' side soared. They still had some scruples before, for fear of running into Ron Admiral. After all, they also saw the fate of Mother Four Emperors. That Ron is not a human at all, he is the real monster. A desperate monster, but now I heard the news from Whitebeard and Sengoku has not denied it. This is considered a default, so, in other words, this guy Ron won't be useful at all tonight. It might even be afraid to join them on the battlefield. Think of it here, looking at those Marine soldiers whose aura has become decadent. One ebb and flow. The arrogance of the entire pirate became extremely high. Suddenly murderous, morale skyrocketed, this fighting power also soared. Swarmed, they rushed towards Marine. These Marine soldiers were already demoralized. Being caught off guard by the desperate impact of the opponent. For this kind of hopeless battle, it is clear that most Marines have lost their fighting spirit. So he was killed and back again. The whole battlefield began to fall to one side. Sengoku frowned and watched this scene. Can't help but gnash his teeth. Stared at Whitebeard and said, "You guys said that on purpose, just to disturb the morale of our place." Whitebeard laughed. "Goo la la la, is not it? I'm just telling the truth. In fact, you can see this, but why didn't you tell your soldiers? You want to deceive them. Do you want them to die in vain for a hopeless battle?" Sengoku gritted his teeth angrily. It's a pity that he is now playing against Whitebeard. There is no way. Immediately contact Garp and ask about the situation there. But this time is too long. It was almost an hour since Garp left here. I haven't seen Ron over for so long, nor did Garp come back. The longer time dragged on. The greater the blow to Marines' morale here. Don't talk about these ordinary Marine soldiers, even these vice admirals on the battlefield. At this moment, he didn't believe that Ron could rush over. After all, think about it carefully. Playing against Kaido on the sea, the hope of winning is much smaller than playing against Kaido on land. They all admit that Ron Admiral is very strong, but this is on the sea after all. And now I heard Whitebeard say that Ron Admiral's strength at night is much lower than during the day. This makes their fighting spirit even more sluggish. This gap between front and rear feels the biggest blow to people. Because before that, Ron's feat of destroying the Auntie pirates alone is really exciting. So much so that the Marines have an illusion, that is. When the war is on top, Ron alone can destroy the Whitebeard pirates. When the time comes, they can only be in charge of watching the theater on the side. They are not used at all. They are only responsible for cheering and shouting, and the final celebration. But now, the bloody 733 was actually before his eyes. Facing the attack of the Whitebeard and Kaido double royal regiments, the soldiers on the Marine side suffered heavy losses. Sengoku watched Marines' 4 points become so sluggish. Cannot help but clench their fists. This Whitebeard is too irritating, so cunning. Disclosing these news deliberately hurt Marines' morale. Thank you for reading this story at mtlarchive.com. Your support enables us to keep the site running. Cannot help being more excited. Give a loud shout. However, what nobody pays attention to is, ha ha ha, let these marines always press on our heads, and let them look good this time, brothers charge me. At the moment the horizon, kill all marine with father. A warship is galloping here in the air. Don't be afraid of Ron, but now at night, he doesn't dare to come out at all. Following Whitebeard's shout, Whitebeard saw that his goal had been achieved. The arrogance of the pirates hit the highest point. Sure enough, none of the 4 emperors is not cunning. Little ones, Marine is no longer good, and Ron will not come. Go. Rescue Ace and kill Marine. Chapter 107, auto-generated chapter title. 107. Who said that the sun won't rise in the early morning? Seeking subscription. Now, on the warship. To be precise, it should be on a warship flying in the sky. Garp looked at this scene in disbelief. Zero, because this ability is so familiar to him. Such a person once used this ability, and it's Garp's old opponent. Isn't this ability to float objects in the air the same as Golden Lion's lion fruit? Why would Ron do too? Did Ron kill the Golden Lion and eat his fluttering fruit? Golden Lion has never appeared since the last time he escaped from prison. At this moment, there are a total of 5 people on the deck. Ron, Garp, Ace, Momosagi and Toshigi. The wind at high altitude is much stronger than the sea. It's also much colder, but they still stood on the bow. At this moment, Momosagi put down the telescope and said, Garp Vice Admiral, Ron Admiral, coming to Marineford soon. Looking at the situation over there, it doesn't seem to be optimistic. Garp nodded. Even if the warship flies in the air. In fact, it also takes time. It is impossible to say that it will be there soon. It's no use worrying now. I can only hope that I will hold on for a while longer. And the worst thing right now is that Sengoku's phone worm can't get through at all. Garp originally wanted to report to him on the situation here, and by the way told him to hold on for a while and Ron would arrive. No matter how you call, Sengoku's phone bug couldn't get through. This gave Garp some bad feelings. The last time I received the news, it was when Garp went off the field and played against Whitebeard. Could it be that? Garp shook his head. Impossible. Sengoku will never be killed by Whitebeard no matter what. It is estimated that the phone worm fell during the battle. Garp still knows the strength of his old fellow, but now there is always a thorn in Garp's heart. That was in the last phone call. I heard that Whitebeard was at his peak strength 30 years ago, and he was in a state of no injuries. Advertisement. This news is indeed not good news for Garp. Because only people with his strength really understand how terrifying Whitebeard is in this state. It has far surpassed the 4 emperors, and it is a level that Roger, the One Piece King, can reach. Thought of here, Garp glanced at Ron, standing on the bow. Witnessing Ron's strength with my own eyes, but after all, Ron had killed 2 4 emperors in succession, and also completely destroyed the underwater prison alone. In this case of continuous combat, 1 game against Whitebeard. Can you still use the strength of the current state? Garp was still a little worried, so he came to Ron and asked. Ron, my friend, I have to tell you something here. The current Whitebeard Edward Newgate has returned to his peak strength. He is far more powerful than the current 4 emperors. I don't know how long Ron Xiaoyu's state can last. Garp paused. There is a question which is really related to the privacy of the other party, and it is not convenient to ask. But the situation is urgent now, there is no time to worry about others. So I still asked. Little friend Ron, I don't know if I should ask if I have a question. Ron was expressionless, staring forward. He said lightly without looking back. Say it. I will naturally answer if I should answer. If I don't want to answer, I won't answer if you ask or not. Garp shook his head secretly. This Ron really still has this character. However, compared to the daytime, it seems to be a lot easier to get along with. At this moment, Ron had already lifted the sun skills in his heart. Changed back to normal body size. It is this change. Garp made up his mind to ask, because he is not sure. Ron's powerful state, is it possible to continue to use it? Little friend Ron, I think your current body shape seems to be much different from just now. There has always been a rumor in Marine. That means you can only exert that power during the day, and it will be greatly reduced after night. It's just early morning. When you dealt with Kaido before, did you forcibly use this energy? I don't know, can you use it again later? Garp actually had some speculations about Luan's state. Like this kind of skill that can change the state of the body. Advertisement. Actually they also have them in Marine. One of the lives in Marine 6 styles is called Return. If this skill is well developed, you can reach a state like Ron. Can stimulate the energy of the body, used in battle. So Garp thinks. Ron's fighting method is probably like this. Similar to fighting Baochuan. It is to stimulate the power that is usually accumulated through this method, and use it all at once in a battle. Although this method of fighting is very powerful. But there is a big drawback. That is the accumulated power. Once it is used, it cannot be used again within a short period of time. The whole body will shrink. It's almost the same as Ron's current state. So Garp is deliberately uncertain. Did Ron also have this side effect? Forced to use the ability during the day at night, but after use, the body will shrink and return to a weak state. Garp can now clearly feel Ron's aura is getting lower quickly. The sense of oppression that was like a god looking down on the earth also disappeared. This worries Garp. After all, it is Whitebeard who is about to face. And it was Whitebeard in its heyday. If Ron can't use that power just now, can't join the battlefield for a while, then this battle, I'm afraid, Jiao Hao Hao, will develop in the worst direction. You know, now all Marines are waiting for Ron to return. I heard Garp ask that. In fact, Ron had guessed it, the question he asked would be this. But, this is not a secret. Anyone with normal eyes can see that Ron is different during the day and night. However, Ron smiled slightly, said, how can you be sure that the sun won't rise for a while? This rhetorical question directly regrets Garp. What a joke, it's early morning now. When the sun is fully up, it will be 7 or 8 hours later. By the time, Marine headquarters is probably gone, right? Chapter 108, auto-generated chapter title, 108, Who Said I Can't Come? Ron stepped on the warship Hockey to enter the arena. It's okay not to talk about it this time, I wanted to solve the doubts in my heart. But, after the talk, Garp became even more confused. Now at a loss. Ron's words were in the mist, causing him to not understand anything now. Don't even know what Ron means. What does it mean that the sun will rise in the early morning? What exactly does this sentence mean? He never meant to say, in this dark night, there will suddenly be a round of sun. Bright sky directly. Garp shook his head, said that this idea is too magical, he cannot accept it all. How could there be such a magical thing? It's impossible to think about it. Garp looked at Ron's back. At this moment, Ron was completely different from the tall image of the day. When I was fighting against Kaido just now, the tall image was different. Ron looked like a normal person at this time, and the attitude is not as arrogant as before. When fighting, that state is completely different. Garp is the first time Ron has been in this state. Garp Vice Admiral, here it is. At this moment, Momosagi said excitedly. They have come to the sky over Marlene. Look down from this distance. The 733 battles were fierce. Marine's advantage is no longer there. Facing the combined attack of the 2-4 Emperor's regiments, Marine soldiers retreated steadily, and Marine Marshal Sengoku also personally went off, but faced Whitebeard in this state. It turned out to be invincible, however, Sengoku is still insisting. Ah, it's really hard work this old man, Garp sighed. Look straight. The whole bottom was hit very hard. Whitebeard's attack has already destroyed most of Marine. All defenses of Marine, it was like a piece of paper in front of Whitebeard. Simply vulnerable. Now, below the battlefield, all the pirates chase after victory. Advertisement, wow, la la la. Sengoku, it seems you can't hold on for long. Put Ace back obediently, that way I can stop. The veins on Sengoku's head stretched, his face is extremely ugly. What are you kidding? You really are the one caught by Marine, can you just let it go? If you really let go, then you will lose your lord. What does this make the world think about Marine? Caught a pirate, was hit by someone, and then forced to let him go? If this is the case, then his Sengoku's wise life is destroyed here. By the time, it's not as simple as taking the blame and resigning. Marine's reputation will be destroyed in his hands. So even if Sengoku fights to the end, it is impossible to do such a thing. Stop dreaming, Whitebeard, Edward Newgate. If you have the ability, you can grab it. It is absolutely impossible to expect me to let people out. Whitebeard laughed. Still delaying time? It seems you still don't give up. Still counting on the foreign aid you hired? I tell you very clearly that he will never come today. The guy Kaido is useless, he is also a 4 Emperor, and Ron will definitely become very weak at night. In this case, do you really think Ron can be killed from Kaido? I'm afraid you didn't wait for Ron, but let me wait for Kaido first. Whitebeard ruthlessly exposed Sengoku's current thoughts. This makes Sengoku's face very ugly. Even Whitebeard deliberately raised his voice when he said this. Let the surrounding pirates all hear clearly. Suddenly, this group of Haichung cheered. Shouted loudly. Even the flying 6 powers present were snorted for a while. Peggy won. Well, let's not talk about whether Ron will weaken at night, just on the ocean. Facing the flying master Kaido, he is already doomed to die. Triceratops. Count the time, Kaido-sama should be back. Ha ha ha, I have to say that it was really a wise decision for us to attack here at night. How long has it been since the BEFC army hasn't seen this kind of in action? Ha ha ha. They, even are still waiting for the guy named Ron, ha ha ha, that's a real laugh. Really, Kaido-sama is a vegetarian? However, when the voice of the 6 volleys just fell. Suddenly, a mace fell from above, with a bang, it hit the ground directly. Advertisement: the huge mace, inserted directly below. Smashed the ground into a big hole. Suddenly, all the surrounding pirates were knocked to the ground. Well, isn't this the mace of Master Kaido? How could it fall from the sky? Wrong. Hurry up and see what is in the sky. Why are there warships flying on it? Is it because Kaido-sama is back? Many adults can make flame clouds, let alone a warship, even an island can make it fly. Did this mace just fall from there? If it is, then it must be Lord Kaido. For a while, all the pirates were attracted by this mace and looked up to the sky. All found this incredible scene, even the Marine high-level side. All of them were attracted by the warships flying in the sky. They were all busy fighting below just now. I didn't notice a warship flying over from the sky at all. Normal people would not have thought that warships would fly in the sky. Most of them focused on the sea. If a warship came, it would also come from here. Sengoku's expression changed suddenly. Could it be? Kizaru touched his chin, cocked his mouth, looked up at the warship flying in the sky, and said, "This way of playing is really different. Akainu wrapped the wound on his chest and took a deep breath. The expression finally relaxed, and said, "Is it finally here?" Aokiji avoided the attacks of the Flowering Sword Beasta and Diamond Joes, and he also let out a long sigh of relief. Finally caught up, Crane Staff's frowning brows finally relaxed. It's really close. On the battlefield, these pirates suddenly saw Marine's momentum as if it had risen again. Could not help but be a little confused, Shen said. Hey, what are you all happy about? Is it crazy to lose? You don't really think that inside the warship flying in the sky is your Ron? I really don't want to dispel your convictions, but tell you, let the warship fly, only our Kaido Big Yanyan can do it. So this time it must be our Lord Kaido. You're waiting for that Ron can't come. Almost at the same time the voice of the 6 volleys just fell. I saw on the deck above the warship, there was an indifferent voice. Who said I couldn't come? Chapter 109, Auto-generated chapter title. 109. Ron returns, Marine is full of morale, cheers in unison, seeking subscription. Ron's voice was not loud, but it spread clearly throughout the battlefield. In an instant, the originally noisy battlefield suddenly quieted down. This sound, they are so familiar, whether it's Marine or pirate. Everyone is rapturous to this sound, because at noon. Just at noon today. The owner of this voice wiped out the 4 emperors, the whole group. Such a horrible scene. Not only did the Marines shocked, but even the pirates got chills in their backs after watching them. But now, this horror, like the sound of death coming, actually resounded in their minds. Suddenly, Marine and the pirate showed different attitudes. Marine's side is naturally very happy. Great, this voice is Ron Admiral. Is Ron Admiral finally here? Now we are finally safe. Ron Admiral, avenge the dead Marine and kill this gang of pirates. Marine hero is coming. Suddenly, the momentum of the entire Marine surged instantly. The rate of this morale rise is unprecedented. Marine, who had a very low atmosphere at the beginning, seemed to have won the victory at this moment. They all started to cheer. Some people started dancing on the spot. The atmosphere of the entire battlefield suddenly changed. The Marine soldiers who had been wounded finally stood up firmly at this moment. Even if you endure the pain, you have to get up to meet the Marine hero. This Marine hero, of course, is not referring to Garp. It's Ron. Ron is the Marine hero of their generation. This is the initiative of every seaman who saw Ron's name in the pirate group. As long as there is one to take the lead, in an instant, all the Marines yelled at them. Sengoku looked at the morale of these Marine soldiers, and he was lifted up in an instant. Cannot help but feel very surprised. Unexpectedly, Ron's prestige in Marine is so high now. You know, even if he played in person as a marshal, he didn't bring this effect. And Ron just said a word on it. Just a word, can instantly ignite the morale of all Marine. Let Marines fighting will reach unprecedented heights. What kind of prestige is this, and it can be done? Advertisement. Sengoku couldn't help taking a breath. Isn't he looking forward to Ron's arrival? There is not much difference between himself and these Marine soldiers. Ron, this guy has the most terrifying power in this sea, unparalleled cohesion. Aokiji Admiral, Kizaru Admiral, Akainu Admiral, and all were shocked by this scene. The whole Marine is now in a frenzy. This is a phenomenon the 3 of them have never seen before. And it wasn't their Marine who caused all this, it turned out to be an army admiral. Kizaru. The prestige of Ron Admiral is really terrible. Chingshang. His prestige has even surpassed us. Akainu clenched his fists. Although he was not reconciled, he had to admit that Ron did have this ability. Ron Admiral, Marine hero, Marine hero. All Marines shouted in unison, instantly covered up the sound of gold and iron. Just now they were beaten back and forth, there is even a feeling of surrendering. There was no hope of winning at that time, but now, 0. Because of Ron's appearance. Let these Marine soldiers feel instantly, already won. This kind, an overwhelming momentum. The pirates' arrogance was suppressed. The pirates on the opposite side have been dumbfounded. Backward unconsciously. They felt that these Marines in front of them were crazy. Dancing and dancing there. The shouts shook the sky. In an instant, the fighting will of the whole person soared. Originally, the cowardice that could be seen in their eyes, it was completely gone at the moment. Excitement is replaced by excitement and victory. Why have their eyes revealed victory? Is it such an exaggeration? What exactly is going on? Are these guys crazy? They must be crazy. What are they excited about? Even if it is really Ron, what can it be? It's night now, what are they excited about? The pirates were momentarily affected by Marine's actions, and they didn't know how to act. He even forgot to attack. Advertisement, for flowers. But the flying 6 cells of the Kaido pirate group, at this moment, looked extremely ugly. No, why is it Ron? Where is Kaido boss? How could Ron let the warship fly? Obviously Kaido boss's ability. Why didn't you see Kaido boss? And isn't this the boss of Kaido's mace? Why is Kaido boss's mace here? Can anyone explain? Fei Liubao was at a loss. Obviously Kaido's mace is right in front of them. Obviously Kaido boss's mace fell from the spaceship in the sky. But why didn't I see Kaido? Instead, Ron stood up and spoke. How can this be? Ron has come out. Where is the boss Kaido who is responsible for intercepting Ron? That's not right. Why don't you see Kai of the 3 plagues and Quinn? Shouldn't the 2 of them be back? Fei Liubao glanced at each other. A look of horror on his face. Ron has already arrived, but Kaido and Yamato have not come back with the 2-3 plagues. What does this mean? Fei Liubao did not dare to continue thinking about it. Although they don't believe it, but a bad idea has quietly grown in their minds. These 6 extremely powerful ancient zone abilities. At this moment, I feel a chill in my back, then suddenly raised his head. Kaido, who can fly into the sky and enter the water, has a lot more advantages than the ant. They all stared at the mace in front of them. Thank you for reading this story at mtlarchive.com. Your support enables us to keep the site running. That's on the ocean. It's night now. Did they Kaido pirates? The head iron girl ran up and said angrily into the air. Look at the man above. Thinking back to the ant at noon. What about Kaido boss? Impossible, absolutely impossible. It's impossible to end with the ant. All looked at the sky incredulously. 5 more pills. Why are you the one who came back? Almost all members of Beast's Pirates made the same action. Fei Liubao couldn't believe it. Chapter 110, auto-generated chapter title. 110. Give you a meeting gift. Luo directly declares war to Whitebeard. Boom. Garp jumped off the warship first, even if this warship is several hundred meters high from the ground. But Garp jumped directly from this height without hesitation. It fell heavily on the ground, smashed the whole ground directly into a big hole. Garp walked out of the pit unharmed. Then he looked at Sengoku, who was seriously injured. Shen Sheng said, "How's it going? Can you hold it?" Sengoku coughed twice. There was still blood on the corner of his mouth. I was injured by shock fruit's internal organs just now. But at this time, facing Garp's question, he didn't answer directly, but said, "Kaido him." Garp made a relieved look, then said, "Don't worry, Kaido is dead." Boom, 737. Garp's voice is not too loud, not too low, but, as the volley 6 of Zone Devil Fruit, with that excellent listening ability, of course he can hear clearly. When I heard Garp say that Kaido was dead, all were stunned. An unbelievable look on his face. What are you talking about, old man? Don't talk nonsense. Dare to talk nonsense again, be careful I kill you. How could Lord Kaido die? Don't lie to shake the morale of our military. The 6 volleys certainly didn't believe it. At this moment, they stood in a row and looked at Garp coldly. Even Whitebeard frowned upon hearing the news. Kaido couldn't beat Ron, he was sure of that. So Whitebeard is no accident, but only on land. But what Whitebeard didn't expect was that Kaido would also lose when fighting on the ocean. This shouldn't be. Obviously Ron is demon fruit power, as long as he sinks his warship. Then, he will have no place in the sea. With the advantage of being able to fly, Kaido is almost impossible to lose. What happened there? Could it be that this guy Garp shot Kaido and killed Kaido? Advertisement Whitebeard was lost in thought. He thinks this idea makes sense. After all, based on the information obtained now, Ron's strength is limited to the daytime. Thinking of here, Whitebeard couldn't help but raised his head to look at the flying warship and Ron, who was standing on the bow and looking down. This mace is the last relic of your captain. Give up your fantasy, your Kaido boss is dead. Garp said in a deep voice. The flying 6 powers in front of him stood in front of him, and Garp's aura alone was not inferior to the 6 of them. Even stronger, Garp didn't take them seriously either. It is worthy of Garp's attention that the Whitebeard in front of him. This familiar sense of oppression, this familiar face and body shape. Correct. This is indeed the Whitebeard who was at the peak of his combat power 30 years ago. Garp fought him. See this sense of oppression clearly. This is definitely Whitebeard of that period, even stronger than that time. It seems, the Whitebeard Pirates still had some means to heal all Whitebeard's injuries and restore it to this state. No wonder Sengoku loses. Garp couldn't help looking at Sengoku. At this moment, Sengoku also shook his head. Kaido's death made him very happy. In this way, the only 4 emperors he had to face were the invincible Whitebeard. If Kaido is still alive, then their marine pressure will directly double. Sengoku thought for a while, then continued to ask. Old man, did you do it? Did Ron do it? The reason Sengoku asked this was to determine how good Ron was in the night. If Kaido's was caused by Garp's shot, not because of Ron. This also means that Ron has no combat effectiveness at night. Otherwise, Ron will not let him stop, so the current situation is actually not much better. Garp made a relieved look and said, I didn't make a move. It's Ron. Here. Sengoku couldn't help showing a relieved smile. That's good, this is good. It seems that we have won this battle. Sengoku suddenly relieved. I feel a little bit unable to support my body. Advertisement just now relying on a wave of faith to support his body. Only now I discovered that the internal organs were seriously injured. Whitebeard's move is really too powerful, directly injured the internal organs. Seeing this, Garp quickly helped his old fellow. I said it's okay, you old guy, you are still so brave. Garp shook his head, then he looked at Whitebeard. Edward Newgate, your end is here, Garp said in a deep voice. For this man who hurt his old buddy, Garp didn't give him any good looks. Whitebeard didn't care about Garp's eyes either. What echoed in his mind right now was the conversation between Garp and Sengoku just now. Isn't Kaido killed by Garp? It turned out to be Ron? How is this possible? Didn't the intelligence say that he had no strength at night? Intelligence can never go wrong. Whitebeard believes in Ben Beckman's abilities. This is not just what Ben Beckman analyzed from Ron's battles. It was Ben Beckman who arranged for the undercover lurking in the army and found out from there. After all, Ron has been an admiral in the army for 3 months. These 3 months are enough to analyze a person's weaknesses. The 6 volleys are now full of angry eyes, looking up at the warship in the sky. Even the captains of the Whitebeard pirate group couldn't help but look at the warships in the sky together. Isn't this guy Ron going to be weak at night? If this is the case, it would be bad. At this time, suddenly, the warship in Air 5.2 fell down. To know, the warship is extremely large. At this moment, it is falling down from an altitude of several hundred meters. Its power is no less than a superbomb. The falling speed of the warship is getting faster and faster. It was smashed in the direction of Whitebeard, Volley 6 and the others. Boy, is this giving me power. When Whitebeard saw this scene, his expression changed. No need to think about it. Ron is alone on the entire warship. Ron must have smashed it down under the control of the warship. This is undoubtedly a declaration of war on oneself. Whitebeard's eyes narrowed, staring at the falling warship.